Eat like a king who's on a budget. 3 tasty options, fries, drink, and nuggets. All for $5. Wait, that can't be right. Just confirm that that's the real price. BK, have it your way.
Welcome into Leather Brains, your host Slapdog, and we are talking NFL today. But before we do, we have to give a shout out to our sponsor. So before we break down the chaos of this NFL week, you need proper fuel. And no, not a sad granola bar, not gas station jerky. I'm talking real fuel. And by real fuel, I'm talking Burger King, the Whopper, the only burger in America big enough to handle the emotional trauma of your team blowing a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. So go grab a Whopper, grab some fries, and let Burger King carry you the same way your defense should have carried you on yesterday's Sunday slate. Burger King, where the flavor never takes a bye week. As I mentioned, your host, Slapdog, here, and I'm joined by producer Scotty Del Rey and Alan Casanova Castro. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the show. It's great to have you here today.
I love you.
It's so good to be here. I'm so excited to talk about football with you guys.
Are you?
I'm so excited.
I can tell. You're just by your voice inflection, it sounds as if you're very excited. Before we, usually what we do here on the show and what we are going to do here today is talk about NFL. We're going to talk about all the games that have happened this last week, and then bring, of course, our Pab-Ass Bitch of the Week award to to our chosen candidates. But before we do that, we do have to do some NFL news here very quickly. So let's start there. I want to start with Antonio Brown. We had mentioned this last week, but some more news has surfaced. So if you didn't know who Antonio Brown was, he was a former wide receiver. I think we're all pretty well aware of who he is. But what you may not have known was he was extradited from Dubai last week for attempted murder charges here in the U.S. And he is now, this is the new stuff, he is now facing up to 30 years in prison for said attempted murder. So it has come out that 30 years in prison is what he is potentially facing for trying to murder someone.
Yeah, I read a little bit about the story, and I think it happened on like a live stream of some sort. There was like a streamer who invited a bunch of famous people, and Brown was one of them, and there was an altercation, and Antonio Brown took someone else's gun and then tried to shoot this person, and did shoot him, I guess, or somebody got shot. I guess I don't know exactly what happened, but nobody died.
It was after one of those celebrity boxing things. And
I think he was boxing or something, or they were fighting of something.
And then, it was like afterwards, and then he grabbed one of the security guard's guns
and tried to shoot him. So I got a couple questions. First and foremost, do you think this might be the first prison podcast? Like, because he's got his CTE podcast. Do you think they'll still let him do that in prison?
Does he actually do a podcast? I don't think I've ever actually seen him do a podcast. I know of his Twitter, and I know he gets shared around on social media, but I've never seen him like sitting in front of a microphone talking.
I have seen clips of it, so I'm going to assume, I don't know if he's still doing it, but I can't think of any other prisons and podcasts in prisons.
Podcast in prison is a good name for a podcast in prison, though.
And you could get great
alliteration.
You could do some marketing, some really great marketing with that.
Yeah, just pass flyers around to all your cellmates.
Yeah, hey, check this out every Tuesday night in the cafeteria.
Yeah, that sounds like a proposition. You got to be careful.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask about this is which one is worse? Like, is Mark Sanchez worse than this Antonio Brown thing, or like it is?
Yes. Yeah, because he was like sprinting around beating up delivery drivers. This is like, at least Antonio Brown was in an altercation and grabbed a gun to like defend himself in an equal fight. This Mark Sanchez was just like hopped up on drugs.
Do you think that that's like? I don't know. I just have a hard time.
Which would be funner? Probably Mark Sanchez. Like that would probably be more fun for you as an individual. But
I don't know. I would rather get shot than stabbed.
It's a fun game that we can play, where we have two terrible, awful things, and then we just compare them. Like we can extrapolate this to a lot of tragedies and make it pretty fun. Like which one's worse? Like the Titanic or that one blimp that caught on fire and killed everybody?
If we're going over bodies, I would say Titanic. But if we were going
How do you know? How many people fit in the blimp?
Not as many as the Titanic. It was a cruise ship.
The blimp is bigger, I think, by a lot.
There's no way that you're fitting more people on a blimp than the Titanic.
I think first of all, I don't know if you very well could be correct, but I think you are, in your mind, underestimating the number of people who could fit in a blimp.
I think you're underestimating how many people were on the Titanic.
Yeah, it was like 1,100 people.
How many people were on the Titanic?
I could be making myself
2,204 people. How many people were on the burning blimp?
I can't remember what it was called.
What was it called
The
again?
Heisenberg.
Heisenberg?
The
Is that right?
Heisenberg's from. No, that's a.
The Hindenburg.
Hindenburg.
Heisenberg.
There was
is
97
Breaking
people
Bad?
on that. There was 97 people on the Hindenburg.
That's pretty close.
What?
What? No.
I'm
was
already
like-
in the hole, so I'm digging. Pretty close.
You ever seen those videos where it's like, which worse, 1 9/11 or 2 9/11?
Would you
Yeah.
rather be on the Hindenburg or the Titanic?
The Hindenburg seems like you
yeah,
die a lot
Hindenburg.
faster.
Yeah.
The Titanic, it seems like you just get dumped into freezing cold water.
Could you
Slowly
imagine the
freeze to death.
shrinkage in that water?
Yeah,
Oh God.
and I don't have much room for that. on
2
that
belly
front.
buttons, basically.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on here. We're going to talk football. So we'll start with the Jets versus the Patriots. The Patriots win this one 27-14. You know, Scotty, you said you were already in the hole, and I've continued to press this.
You put me in this hole last week. We don't have to do this ever again.
No, I think we do.
All right.
Because this might be the last week, and
Okay.
if for anybody did not listen and has not listened in the past, Scotty has stated that Justin Fields is going to have a career year this season for himself, and he went 15 for 26 for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. But, Scotty, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It was announced today that he will once again be benched for Tyrod Taylor moving forward. So as long as Tyrod Taylor does not get hurt, he will be the starter, so we won't have to talk about Justin Fields anymore.
Nice.
So I know that the Patriots played the Jets, and that's very obvious because I said that. But what I want to gear this conversation around is where are we at with the Patriots? Like, are the Patriots a legitimate Super Bowl contender in your guys' eyes at this point? Because they're 9-2, they're leading the AFC East, and they're tied with the Broncos for winning the AFC right now. So, where are we at with the Patriots? Like I said, I know they played the Jets this week, so that's kind of maybe not a fair assessment of them in totality. But their next few games are Bengals, Giants, then they have a bye, Bills, Ravens, Jets, and Dolphins. So, like, at this point in time, in your mind, are the Patriots legitimate Super Bowl contenders?
Probably just from a standings perspective, yes.
Yep.
I do think the Bills pass them and take the division. The Patriots have to go on the road. That's how I think the season ends. But obviously, this late in the season with this record, yes.
Well, and the thing is that the entire AFC, like, I don't really feel confident in any team. Like, that's going to be a theme going through this episode. But it's just like, yeah, why not? Like, they very well could be the best team in the AFC. Like, the Bills have had some stinkers this year too, so it's
They
like,
have, which
maybe
we'll talk about when we get to the Bills. But I at the very least, is it safe to say that the Patriots are back in the conversation as far as competing teams moving forward? Because I think that is a very clear and easy yes in my mind. Like, Mike Vrabel in his first season as the head coach for the Patriots has completely, changed this organization for the better. And I think the Patriots, it's unfortunate because I am not a fan of the Patriots. I was tired of the Tom Brady era and the success that they have had for numerous years. I think it's safe to say, I think the Patriots are back in the conversation as one of those teams that is going to be in it for years to come.
I think it's too early to tell still.
Which is fair.
I think they've had an incredibly easy schedule, which isn't their fault. But I think they've won the games they need to win, which is really hard to do. Not a lot of teams can say that. But I think I think you'll have to see, because we probably would have said the same thing about the Commanders last year.
Yep.
And you just don't know. Year to year, the way the NFL is now, it's like really hard. They're trying not to have these dynasties. They really don't want them. And so it's just going to be a year-to-year thing. Are they set up? Sure. But then is their schedule going to be tougher next year? Yeah, probably. And then will they navigate that the same way? Probably not, is where my mind goes.
Well, I don't want to show my hand too early on the Commanders conversation, but I think that's a really good way to look at the Patriots this year and because it's a similar story. However, and like I said, I don't want to show my hand too early on the Commanders because I brought this to the conversation about the Commanders, but I think that I look at this team and I look at the Commanders team, and I think it's a conglomeration of a lot of different things that make me believe that even if in the event that they had a tougher schedule, I still think they're going to be in the conversation more than the Commanders are this season. And there's reasons why, of course. But we had a question by Matthew Cahan. He says, do you guys think in the playoffs the Patriots are a favorite to beat the Bills?
No.
Which stadium are they playing in?
No. Either. The Moon. No.
Let's say Patriots Stadium. Let's say they play at Gillette Stadium.
I tend to agree with Alan. I don't think so, especially if the Bills are, the big criticism with the Bills, and I know we'll talk about the game, is the fact that they were kind of playing like the Eagles have been playing, which just leaves you like wanting a little bit more. It's like it's just James Cook. It's just James Cook. It's just the rushing attack. And this week, Josh Allen demonstrated that, I mean, he might throw a pick or two, but he can put the team on his back and play like Josh Allen again. And if he's going to continue to do that and the Bills are going to continue to win games, it's hard to pick any team in the AFC that would be favored over them, in my opinion.
Okay, last question on the Patriots. Is Drake May a top 5 quarterback at this point?
Yeah.
Are you nodding your head because he's on your dynasty team, or you're nodding your head because you believe that?
Fuck yeah. I think he's really good. He's super athletic, and I think that doesn't show. But I mean, he's a super athlete, and I don't think they even have enough weapons around him to like properly gauge that.
Can I just say that was the whitest sentence?
What?
He's a super
He's
athlete.
a super athlete.
He's super.
He's a super duper. He's a hell of a swell guy.
I agree with you. I think, from a weapons perspective, and that's what I'm interested to see this offseason is what do they do to get him some more weapons? Because Stephon Diggs is usable, but he's not Stephon Diggs that he was when he was with the Vikings or even with the Bills. And so he's there. They need him. But like and I think their running back room, I think Travion Henderson looks incredible. Like I think they really have started to get him involved, and it's
almost like all the fantasy football players that were complaining about that for the first 6 games were totally right. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
We don't often get vindicated like that, where we're like,
Justin
this needs
Fields
to happen.
Justin Fields was your leading rusher in this game, though. So, damn. I don't know what you want.
I mean, that's not a hard thing to do when it's Justin Fields, because that's all he can do. So you think he is Drake May at this point in time is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, Alan?
I'm thinking. Hold on. I probably don't believe that in my heart of hearts. He's probably just on the outside looking in. But okay. I would like to see him with some weapons.
Sure.
And see him get some trust in some guys. We'll see. I mean, this is like they keep turning over their wide receiver room. They should just go get Tyquan Thornton back from the Chiefs since he's might not even be in the playoffs anyways. Just go get him back.
Do you guys like your instinct tell you that you would rather have Jaden Daniels or Drake May?
Drake May.
Yeah. Well, knowing what I know now, the injury case that is Jaden Daniels, I'd rather have Drake May.
I mean, it's still a short window. I mean, he could be fine for the long term.
Yeah, but I think that there's something to be said about the injuries, and that's something that is concerning for me. Is like with his play style, he's not a big-bodied, Josh Allen that'll run people over, but he does run it frequently, and it's like that's got to be something that's in the back of your mind. Drake May, he'll run it, but I think like his pocket presence also is something that I'm a little bit higher on. So I think I would take Drake May over Jaden Daniels at this moment. Now for fantasy, that could be a different conversation. But all right, let's talk about we were talking about Josh Allen. Let's talk about Josh Allen and the Bills, because they beat the Buccaneers 44-32. And to be honest with you, gentlemen, this game, this was one of the games I was more excited for this week. Yeah, I did expect the Bills to win, and they did. But this game for me was going to be telling of how great are the Buccaneers is really what I was looking for in this game. And there's still some questions about what are the Bills this year, because they've lost to the Dolphins, and that was kind of surprising for people. I expected this to be a good game. I think we know the Buccaneers are a good team, but are they good enough to beat the Bills? And in this one, they weren't. So that was kind of my thought process going into this game. And we know that Baker Mayfield, we know he's a dog, but I gotta ask, where do we see the Bucs finishing this season? They're leading the NFC South at 6-4. But the Panthers are 6-5. They're in second place in the NFC South, which I don't think a lot of people had. I didn't have that happening. So what is your trajectory of where you see the Bucs finishing this season?
I think they'll be fine. They're far and away. If you take out the record so far, I mean, obviously things can happen, wins and losses, whatever. But the Bucs are far and away the best team in that division, and the only team that we thought might be competing with them are the Falcons, and it's clear that they're totally, inconsistent. So. Yeah, I mean, the Bucs are far and away, and they're much better than the Panthers. The Panthers have had some good wins, and we'll talk about that. Congratulations, Bryce Young, but I just don't even see him in the same ballpark, really.
Yeah, I liked what the Bucs were trying to do this game. They had Tucker trying to run they were using White and Tucker the whole time to try to run the ball, and they were averaging over 5 yards a carry for both of them. And I still think the Bills have to shore that up because they were just getting gashed left and right. And the game script got away from the Bucs, so they had to start throwing, which made them one-dimensional. And I think it ultimately like doomed them. But up even through the third quarter, I mean, it was still in doubt. Like, there were some big plays from the Bills. Josh Allen really benefiting from these running backs and wide receivers ripping off long runs. I think Ty Johnson had like a 52-yard touchdown, was basically like a screen pass. And then so they were just like gashing them, which was, I mean, there's nothing you do, which is also surprising for me for that defense. That's not what I would have predicted from that defense, is for them to get gashed like that. But they did what they wanted to do. They stopped James Cook, but it didn't matter. That stat correlation ends. It ends now.
It does. Well, in the Bucs, you look at who Baker Mayfield is playing with too, and I think that has to come into your thought process when you're looking at who the Bucs are. I think a lot of people were. I remember when the rookie draft happened this season, and they took Ibuka at, I want to say, the 17th overall pick, and everybody was like, "What the heck? Like, didn't see this coming." But in hindsight, it all makes sense, right? And this was kind of what we had said when we had discussed that pick. Is you look at this team, Mike Evans has had health problems, Chris Godwin has had health problems. They need wide receiver help, and if they don't need it this year, they're going to start losing these pieces because one of them is going to be a free agent. The other one, they paid a bunch of money not to play. And so it makes sense, right? And now it's just Ibuka out there. Mm-hmm. And I believe Chris Godwin is on his way back. And they're missing key pieces of this offense. And so when they get those back, what does that look like? Because right now, Baker Mayfield is playing with a 7th-round rookie as one of his starting wide receivers at this moment. And that doesn't help things when you have, top-tier talent that's hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, because Baker, even at the beginning of the year, was having to pull off comeback wins. And it's only going to take you so far. And then if you try to do that against the Bills, that's not going to happen. I think that's the thing that I was most impressed with this week was the Bills' defense. They shut the Bucs down in the red zone, which was pretty impressive because I figured that's where the Bucs were going to win.
Yeah. We did have a question here by JClay4209. He says, Glock, Purdy, or Mac 10? What quarterback are you guys taking?
Well, this is the real question. Are we just basing it off the cool nicknames? Because the cool nicknames make it interesting. But obviously, it's Brock Purdy if we're talking about football.
Yeah, I like Glock Purdy.
We're actually going to be talking about this here when we get to the 49ers, Jay Clay, so stay tuned. Last thing on this Bills-Bucs game, I don't know if you guys have seen this, Keon Coleman, the sophomore wide receiver for the Bills, he was a healthy scratch in this game due to a coaching decision. This was allegedly because he was late to team meetings. That doesn't help the Bills. And I think everybody who had drafted Keon Coleman in fantasy football and Bills fans, he was a early round pick for the Bills last year, really hasn't hit. He has not been a consistent, usable piece in this offense. And Deion Dawkins, the offensive lineman for the Bills, he was actually asked about, the Keon Coleman thing in the post-game press. He was asked, and he said that he likes Coleman. He says, it's tough to play in this league, but essentially he kind of said it's time to put your big boy pants on. Like, this is not like we need you out there and we need you to take this seriously, which is just kind of like, it's just head scratching. It's like, how are you hurting yourself this bad?
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to do something that people could only dream of, and you're lazy, you're not paying attention. Like, I don't understand that, and that to me is wild.
I mean, that's just surprising to hear this, because I think most people are probably like me. When Keon Coleman came into the league, from Florida State, like, this dude was electric. He was fun. Like, he seemed like he had a good attitude. Like, everybody was excited about it. I don't know a single person who was like doubting this pick, and it's obviously hasn't played out on the field, but like, if it's not playing out on the field, that just means you need to be early. You need to show up. You need to stay late. Like, you need to do the things that everybody knows you need to do in order to, take that next step forward. I'm wondering if there's some frustration with some of the pass catchers because of the way this offense has been structured. Similar to the A.J. Brown situation, just a little bit less vocal. Just like, throw me the ball. Like, why are we not and he obviously hasn't earned the right to make those criticisms, but I almost wonder if there is a little bit of frustration. Like, we've seen Josh Allen just be a gunslinger for his career, and now over the last year and a half, he's just been, handing off to James Cook, and I wonder if that's making an impact.
Yeah, this offense is definitely the running backs and tight ends now versus the wide receivers, and that went when Diggs left. I mean, it could be. I think this also lets people know that if you're not familiar with the NFL or you don't understand how these players prepare and get ready, like, the the film room and the prep time and the meetings are such a big part of getting ready for Sunday, just as much as that taking care of your body. So if you're not there for the meeting to prep with your team to know the game plan, like they can't trust you to go out onto the field. They can't trust you to go do your job. So then you don't play. So this is just like, it seems like, a disciplinary thing, but I mean, it's very much a real world, it's your job, man. You got to show up for the meetings.
Yeah. Which that's the other thing is like, we look at it as fans, but like, these players, like, this is your job. Like, this is what you're supposed, like, if I were to miss a meeting at my job, like, yeah, like, this is a problem. I want to go back to what you said, Scotty, as far as some of the frustrations. Could you not argue that it's due to the lack of talent of the pass catchers, and that's why they've had to restructure the offense in certain aspects? And that's not to say they're not involved, but they're not involved to the level of when Stephon Diggs was there. Right. I think we could all sit here in agreement and say that Keon Coleman is not Stephon Diggs as far as the talent's concerned. So,
but that's who they drafted him to be. They drafted Keon Coleman to be a younger, more explosive Stephon Diggs, like that wide receiver 1 alpha type, and he just obviously has not even come anywhere close to filling that role, which is very disappointing. But that's why I think maybe the expectations were a little bit different with Keon coming in, kind of expecting to step into that alpha role. And because obviously we know now that he's probably not the talent that Stephon Diggs is, but also we just know that the Bills turn the ball over a lot less, and they have a lot more consistent success when they have a balanced offensive approach. And that's just different than what Keon Coleman was used to seeing the Bills look like when he was in college, right? So I just think there is just an expectation difference that's probably causing some heartache.
Yeah, potentially. We mentioned the Panthers when we were talking about the NFC South, and the Panthers won against the Falcons 30-27. This was an overtime game. I think most people that listen to the show probably know my thoughts on the Falcons at this point, which
are looking more and more correct every single week, it seems.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank you. I appreciate
He's
that.
waiting to catch that in.
That was not where I was going with this, though, I'm really starting to question my belief of what the Panthers actually are, because are they an up and coming team? I mean, they're 5-6. They're winning games. I still struggle to sit here and say the Panthers are a good team, but they're winning games. And as we said multiple times on the show, you don't apologize for the wins. Are the Panthers? I don't think any of us believe that the Panthers are a Super Bowl contending team this year, but are they a team that's kind of up and coming, Scotty?
I would just like to point out that I don't know if you noticed this. Going into the season, the expectations for the Panthers were pretty high. Going into the last couple weeks, expectations pretty low. They're just all right. Bryce Young has the best game of his career. I'm telling you, this is a real problem between the years with Bryce Young. It's just when he's expected to perform, he sucks.
Correct.
And when the expectations are low, he figures it out. It's just it's a psychological thing, and I think now we have enough of a sample size to definitively say it's a problem with him.
Yeah.
Well, he did in this game where the expectation was rather low. He did break the Panthers' all-time single-game passing record. He threw for 448 yards, so he now owns that title as the Panthers starting quarterback. But
I think you, as a Cardinals fan, should be pretty offended by that, because he really took the juice out of Jacoby Brissett's records
I'm
that he's breaking.
I've been fuming about it since it happened yesterday, because he's taken the limelight from us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, what are the Panthers for you guys? Are they are they a middling of the pack team? Are they still towards the bottom? Because their record indicates that they're frisky, but I still struggle to buy in with that mentality.
Yeah, I think in their record would, if you dive into who they played and who they beaten and what the scores are, I think you would come to the same conclusion. I don't know what this team is. You get blown out by the Patriots and the Bills. They've beaten the Falcons now twice. They lost to the Saints and scored 7 points. So it's like, I don't even know what to make of this team. And they've beaten the Cowboys, they've beaten the Dolphins, but it's just so up and down. And I think to Matt's point, this is what we were talking about last year, was as soon as the lights are off and not on Bryce Young, he plays so much better. And so I think that's just
so maybe the coaching staff just needs to really just say, throw in the towel, and then we get an MVP caliber Bryce Young.
I think
what they should do is bench him and then bring him out for the second series, because he's like, oh, whatever, guys. And then
that's what they did with last year with the Red Rocket.
Yeah, that's what they should do with
Andy Dalton.
I think that they should lock him in a hotel room like they do with jurors who can't see the news about the case that they're working on. And they just need to do that with Bryce Young, so he has no idea what the outside world is saying about him.
And just tell him nobody's even watching this game because we're so bad. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah,
God,
not even.
You guys might be onto something. You guys, we'll reach out to the Panthers organization and suggest that to them. The Falcons, they did place Michael Penix Jr. on IR due to a knee injury, and Drake London also suffered a knee injury and will be out for next week's game. So, Kirko Chains, welcome back to the fold for at least 4 weeks, because Michael Penix Jr. will not be playing. You pay the guy money. You're paying the guy as a quarterback. You're starting quarterback for your franchise. So we're going to get to see it come. But I mean, is Kyle Pitts no matter what come into play with Drake London out and Kirko Chains in the fold, Scotty?
You know it. I mean, he better. He better. And if he doesn't, it's not his fault. That's for sure. That's all I know.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. All right. Mike McDaniels. He gets the win, gentlemen, against the Commanders. 16-13. Dolphins take this one. I want to start before we talk about Mike McDaniels. I want to start with the Commanders because, and I kind of teased this like 10 minutes ago. We can only speculate what the Commanders' season would have been had Jaden Daniels been playing this season. But could you make a valid argument here that this team still would have had some regression this season over the success that they had last season? Because the Commanders, they're 3-8. They do have the oldest roster in the NFL. Scary Terry really hasn't played much this season. Do you think if Jaden Daniels was in the mix here, this record would be drastically different? Or would we have still seen, and like I said, we can only speculate, but would we have still seen the regression of the Commanders team this season with Jaden Daniels in the fold? Where are we at with that?
I think the likelihood that there was regression from their ridiculous season, yes. They had a ridiculous season in Jaden Daniels' rookie year, and a lot of that was due to, of course, Jaden Daniels was really awesome, and it was they're kind of riding a wave. But their schedule was also one of the easiest in the NFL then, and they were able to capitalize on it. And then with the success that they had, their schedule is much more difficult this year. And, so yes, there would have been some regression, but obviously it's hard to look at this team seriously with their wide receiver one and their starting quarterback out. Like, it's difficult to make any judgments.
And all the injuries on defense. Their defense is decimated. Their whole team is just on IR, much like my dynasty team. It's just everybody's dead. So what do you want them to do? I think the concerning thing is, like, now you're trending with your franchise quarterback being an injury case. And what do you do with that moving forward? Because that's an issue now. You have to almost game plan for him being out a handful of games every year.
Could you not make that same argument for Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
which they haven't addressed, which is why everybody's pissed.
Yeah. Sure. I still don't think you can. I understand that thought process of, like, the injury proneness, and I understand the concerns there. I don't think you can label him as that just yet, and that's not to say that it won't be a problem, because it's got to be on the forefront of your mind. I just think it's too early to necessarily start thinking that. We've seen it year over year with Joe Burrow now, so I think we have a little bit more in our window to see, okay, this is something that happens often.
Yeah, and Burrow's had weird ones too. Versus Daniels were definitely like, oh shit, okay, yeah. Anybody getting hit like that's probably going to be down for
anyone
a little bit.
Anyone whose arm stops the direction it's supposed to is probably going to miss a couple games.
No bueno.
Sure. I'm not surprised by this, to be quite honest with you, because I said back in preseason, I was saying if the Commanders don't do well this season, it's because they all get hurt, because their team is old. They are the oldest team in the NFL, and that's exactly what happened. Is they really loaded up on guys who are not the most young, spry gentlemen in the league, and it's came to fruition. And just like you mentioned, Alan, their defense is banged up, their offense is struggling because they're also not staying healthy. So I'm not surprised by this, but obviously we don't even know what the schedule would be like next year for the Commanders. I think it's safe to say the Commanders are done for this season. But do you have high expectations for them going into next season, or what is your thought about them moving forward?
Ironically, they're probably going to have a lower tier schedule again next season. So if Jaden Daniels can stay healthy, I mean, maybe. I still think that, making it to the championship game it's got to be just an outlier. I mean, they just don't seem to have the roster construction to be able to do that on a consistent basis. But I mean, there's no reason to think that with a relatively easier schedule and a healthy Jaden Daniels all season, they could make the playoffs. I think they could be a playoff team, and that's as a Commanders fan, that's like all you need. That's all you need right now.
If you're a Commanders fan, though, you have PTSD with quarterback injuries because you've had RG3, Alex Smith, and now you have Jaden Daniels, and now you're back into the same boat of like, we can't keep our quarterbacks healthy. And I think that's a real concern, because if he gets any kind of pulled this, strained that next year, you're just like, damn it, it's over. Like the path to him being a year in and year out franchise quarterback kind of goes out the window. And it's not necessarily his fault, it's his body's fault, but that's all part of it. Like, and I think that sucks for them.
Are any of us keyed into the milk strength that's in Washington for the strong bones? Are they diluting milk in Washington? That could be a potential.
I think, that's a valid point, Slapdog, but I think maybe a better point would just be replace the fucking field.
Build the new stadium.
We've only been talking about it for a decade. Like, let's maybe
go ahead.
And
Trump Stadium?
Yeah, they want to name it Trump Stadium.
No, Trump wants to name it Trump Stadium.
They want it. They want to name it Trump Stadium.
Honestly, be hilarious. I'm here for it.
But
I mean, especially coming off of this overseas game where the stadium was like built on some sort of conveyor belt where they can move the field up and down, and they've got like an underground greenhouse where they can, like, they did all this.
That's awesome.
It was insane.
Yeah,
but it's like,
it was awesome.
Wow, does that make the Commanders look like a bunch of fucking morons?
I also question how thick that turf was. Would that be like falling on concrete? Because there's no way there's enough like dirt and like pad underneath that. I
don't know.
Worth it.
I want to flip this over to the Dolphins for just a moment, because they snuck out another win here. They beat the Bills last week. This team seems like a complete crapshoot week over week, and I don't put a lot of stock in the Dolphins ever winning their games, but somehow they're doing it. So I'm going to ask this question again. Yep. I asked it last week. Do these wins do anything to give Mike McDaniels another year?
Let me kick this off by saying, I said if they can get through these games, there's Commanders, Saints, Jets, Steelers, and they can win these games, I think it saves them. And then if you look at their very last games against the Patriots, and if the Patriots have already locked up seating and have already
and they bench their starters
and they bench and they win, there's a very real scenario where this team finishes like 9-9 or like 8-9, and I think that would be hilarious, because then you can sell hope. You're like, hey, we kind of fixed it. Like, let's just get some pieces back, and I think that would save them, especially as the carousel looks now. I don't think you want to join all these other teams looking too, because now you're, what are you going to do? It's not like you're going to go get your pick of the litter. So it's almost, I think this is going to play out in a hilarious way where he saves his job because of the way the end of the schedule shakes out, and then the Patriots resting. Well, Buccaneers could be in the same boat because their last two games are Bucs and Pats, and they could both be locked into seeding or locked in, and then you get two totally different teams to end the season.
Let me just ask a clarifying question, though. If you were the GM of the Dolphins, would Mike McDaniel be safe?
No, fuck no. I already said he looks like a Planet Fitness manager. Yeah. Like, he doesn't look like he...
This is the point, is that what they do, who knows? I suppose I could see a world in which all that happens and they went out and they're fine and he gets to keep his job for another year. That doesn't change the fact that it would be the dumbest fucking decision on earth. Like, this guy should have been gone 4 weeks ago. Like, what the fuck are we talking about giving him another year? That's just insanity. There's no reason.
You really are the saving grace for Mike McDaniels, because when we first posed this question, you said, what's the alternative? Like, just ride him out the rest of the season, because after some of the losses that they had, I was looking for blood because I don't have any stock in any of this, and I just wanted to see this guy gone. And you were like, well, what alternative is better than having Mike McDaniels just finish the season? Which I'm glad that you said that, because it made me think about it and be like, I think he's kind of right. Like, this organization is not going anywhere fast, and so let him finish it out and then reevaluate. But I think it's live valuation, kind of like what Alan is saying, where if they haven't fired him and he continue, and when they clearly haven't because we're having this conversation, if they continue winning out, I think that's enough hope. And I'm not saying it's the right decision. I'm not saying it's the right decision, but I'm saying I think Alan could be right here.
I remember these guys have agents. He's going to have ammo to sell. He's going to be like, hey, come on, wait a second. Look how we ended the season. We only lost one game to end the season. We beat the Bills. We beat the Steelers. We beat the Patriots. I guarantee you that's what's going to I want to see this happen, not because I think it's the right thing to do, just because I think it's hilarious. Like, he's going to back into saving his job because of how this schedule shakes out.
But the reason that I said that, Slapdog, was because first of all, it wasn't because I believe it was the right decision, but it was because you could make an argument that doing what the Raiders did with Antonio Pierce and bringing in an interim coach who then wins a few games, and then you feel pressured to hire this guy who has no coaching like that could theoretically lead you into a long-term war situation.
Yeah.
But if the alternative is just keep Mike McDaniel, what else are we going to do? And then that leads to him getting an extension and staying with the team longer. Well, that's worse. That's way worse. You might as well have fired him. So it's just if we're talking about the year, that's fine. But if he parlays this into another year coaching after the disaster that we've
hilarious.
seen, no, that's going to
be hilarious.
It would be very funny, and I am kind of rooting for it.
I think there's a chance that it could happen. And now I got to ask this question: is like you look at the current coaching carousel of potential candidates. I don't think it's that strong this year. I don't think there's a lot of top names that really people are vying for. So you got to think about that alongside with, let's just say that the Falcons do fire Raheem Morris, which I am all for. Let's say they do that. So you're going to have vacancies at some different landing spots for coaches. Are the Dolphins that high of a landing spot if you were a head coach? Because I don't know if I would think so. Aside from being in Miami, what?
I was just going to say that no in-state income tax is kind of attractive because then you're taxed on the games you're in. So that's kind of nice from a money standpoint. And it's Miami, so that's always attractive. From a roster standpoint, which is what I think you're getting at.
Correct.
Is like, what attracts you? Well, you got a broken Tyreek Hill, which you don't know what's going to happen with. You have Tua, which nobody trusts. You're basically on a start-over job. So you got to find a coach that's willing to go through a rebuild with you and isn't like, hey, I'm in win. I'm older. I want to win now. So it's like they would have to pivot to yet another young coach or somebody. They'd have to give somebody their first shot. Because I think Mike McDaniel is going to have to go back to being an OC somewhere.
Yeah.
So
then do you trust another guy that is currently
that's what I'm saying.
That's not it will be a first-time head coach to come in and deal with the bullshit and try and clean up the mess. And it's like, it's just not a good situation.
I see this road where he keeps his job.
I think he could.
Because they're going to be like, do we go with this thing, which we're also not sold on, or this guy just ended the year and we had a winning season, or, whatever, 500 season. Like, should we just see what happens next year and then make that decision? I'm telling you, it's going to happen.
I think it is. I think
but they got to
the more that we talk about it, they got
to win these games. But
I think that has to happen first. But in the event that they do, and I think they could, we might see Mike McDaniel.
I'm pretty excited for this storyline.
I know we're all supposed to pretend like tanking isn't a thing in the NFL, but the Dolphins would really benefit from some serious tanking right now. So you could almost make the argument that it's terrible for them to win these games for several reasons if it results in Mike McDaniel keeping his job, and then also, it wasn't that bad of a season. Like, their draft stock is fine, whatever. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Well, the Dolphins notoriously, when Brian Flores was the head coach, there was a whole scandal about the owner of the GM coming into his office and asking him to tank. So if any organization's trying to do it, it would probably be the Dolphins.
That's why they're keeping him.
Well, he's doing a hell of a bad job then, because he's winning these games.
Well, in this particular case, he just went up against a team that is also tanking. So it's just like, it is what it is.
The tank off.
Tank off. Guys.
Let's fucking go, baby.
Let's go. The Bears are kings of the mother effing North.
Sorry, I swore.
We are a Bears podcast this season. And man, the Bears win against the Vikings 19-17, a game-winning field goal. And damn, does it feel good to be rooting for the Bears this season, because we, not the Bears, we are kings of the North.
Yeah.
Currently.
Number one Bears podcast.
Yeah.
Number one. Easily. That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
Unofficial.
So, I think in preseason, we all saw this coming. We all knew that the Bears were going to be great. We had the Bears winning, basically going to the Super Bowl this year. And here we are, gentlemen. They're leading the NFC North at 7-3.
Let's go.
And we've said this for the last few years. We've said the Bears are winning the offseason. The Bears have won the offseason this year. We said last year when they got Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, we said the same thing. We said if any NFL team out of all 32 of these teams has won the offseason, it has been the Bears for the last 2 seasons. Gentlemen, the Bears are currently winning in season now. They are leading the North.
Let's go.
Currently. So I don't want to get all doom and gloom here.
It's over.
But
their lead's insurmountable in the division.
Do we anticipate it ending this way? Is really what I got to ask. Because the Bears are leading the North at 7-3. The Packers are right behind them at 6-3.
Trash.
The Lions in the third position are 6-4. And the Vikings are at 4-6.
Trash.
This is a tight division. We knew that going in. We said that NFC North is the most difficult division in football. And it is. I still think it's true.
I don't think that's true anymore.
You don't think that's true?
No, I think the Packers have significantly underperformed. The Vikings obviously have significantly underperformed. And that's kind of the point that I'm going to make here is I love the Bears. And the fact that they're ahead of this division is awesome. I don't think this division is as strong as what we expected, which means that, to your question here, there's a decent chance that they stay on top of this division, because I think the Lions are the best team in the division on paper, but, obviously that's why they play the games. They got to win. And I think the Packers have just looked underwhelming. Like all year long, the Packers have just looked underwhelming. And then, of course, with J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings, we'll talk about that, but it's just like you can't really expect them to win any given game. There's no reason to think that the Bears shouldn't be at the top of this division for the remainder of the season. They definitely, I don't know if they will do it, but they definitely can do it, which is good.
Fucking preach.
I think,
baby.
Alan, you are. If I ever need a hype man, I am hiring you, because you are doing an incredible job. Well. Okay, put your take the hype pants off for just a moment and put on your realist spectacles.
Same pants.
Do you think the Bears are going to win this division? Do you think it's highly likely? Do you have some concerns? Like, where are you at with this?
Okay, I'll take off the high pants. A little concerning, the offensive output still. I'd like them to be more consistent. Being that what it is, the Vikings have a notoriously tough defense to prepare for, regardless if you see them in division or not.
Sure.
They're finding ways to win. And that's what winning teams do. And ultimately, that's what you're judged on. There's plenty of teams around the NFL you can poke holes at, but you got to win the games. I think I could see the Bears doing this because of the reasons that Scotty just said. I think the Lions I don't know why they're having an identity crisis, but they're struggling mightily at times. The Packers looked, I think Malik Willis coming in for one drive looked better than anything Jordan Love did, during the rest of the game, which is weird to say out loud. I just think there's every team in there has faults. Big time faults. And I think if the Bears can continue to gain confidence and find ways to win, yeah, absolutely they could. Like I think they can pull this off.
I have a statement to make.
Yeah. Please.
Let's hear it.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
As Mike Ditka's grandson, please.
Well, I don't think Mike Ditka would like what I'm about to say right now, but not because it's not awesome about the Bears. If Caleb Williams breaks the Bears passing record, I will paint my nails for him in honor of him.
I fucking love this.
That's because I'm bought in on this fucking team. I'm bought in.
We got two storylines. We got two storylines. Mike McDaniel's keeping his job. Scotty painting his nails.
This is
cooking.
Great.
Amen.
Well, I will say this. Caleb Williams threw for 193 yards in this game, so it currently puts him under the 4K mark at the current
Well, he didn't know about the nail thing yet, so now he'll be motivated.
Yeah, we'll send him over.
He's a big
yards
fan,
against.
big listener.
I will say, spin zone, 193 yards against this defense is like 500 yards against every other defense. So that's,
as long as he can actually do it against the other defenses to make up for the deficit,
we'll see.
Then we're good.
I'm fairly sure we'll see it.
Okay. Yeah, one thing that I'm
pretty sure.
I think so. Maybe we'll see. I'm glad you brought up the offense, Alan, because that's really where my pain point is with this Bears team is, Caleb Williams, he's playing good this year. I'm not going to say he's not, but he's not playing to the level in which I think he needs to be in order for the Bears to find a high level of success. And what I mean by that is when you watch him play, it looks like he's still panicked. Like as soon as he gets the snap, it looks like he's panicked, and he makes one. If his first read isn't there, he seems very, very flustered. And that's the one thing that I've from watching the Bears games, because we are a Bears podcast and I do root for the Bears this season. That's the one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know. I hope that Ben Johnson can coach that out of him and get him more confident and comfortable in the pocket to be able to go through his reads and progressions a little bit faster. But that's my takeaway is, Caleb Williams at times seems rather flustered, and I want to see him more comfortable going through his progressions.
I'll bring it back to the positivity. Fair critique, I think. Positivity, though. Caleb Williams demonstrated some elite pass rush avoiding here in this game. Like
sure.
he was getting blitzed left, right, and center. And
which Brian Flores does. I mean, that's the mantra of this Vikings defense.
But like Caleb Williams kind of graduated in this game from just being a shifty guy in the pocket to being like, oh, he might actually be kind of elite, like in an elite category at avoiding the pass rush. And yes, he does get a little flustered. He looks a little bit like a chicken with his head cut off sometimes, but then every once in a while, like he just makes Houdini style plays plays that should have been 10-yard losses and he turns them into 15-yard gains. That's pretty awesome. And he's getting better at that. Like since he's been in the league, he's gotten a lot better at that to the point where now you watch him and you're just legitimately impressed. It looks like how he kind of looked when he was in college playing against college athletes, and he's starting to kind of get that vibe now against professional athletes in the NFL.
Yeah,
which is
friend
scary
of the podcast,
if he can.
Friend of the podcast and fellow Bears enthusiast Dan Orlovsky on ESPN said it. I was watching today. He was like, he's a problem solver now. I'm like, yeah, that's actually kind of right. That's kind of what it's kind of what you're seeing. You're seeing him like he's not like panicking all the time. Like sometimes he's actually solving a problem that he's seeing in front of him. So I mean, shout out. I mean, I'm ready to hang the banner. I think that'd be a flex for the Bears to do now is just hang the NFC North division title banner now and just be like, I don't know. We'll take it down if somebody else wins it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to win it. So we're going to hang it now, save ourselves some time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's pivot over while we're still talking about this Bears Vikings. I want to talk about the Vikings for just a little bit, and I'm gonna ask this question, and I think I know at least one person's answer here, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Did the Vikings make a huge mistake in not keeping Sam Darnold around?
I think huge mistake is a bit of it. So far, it's a bit of an exaggeration because the bet on J.J. McCarthy wasn't necessarily that they were going to compete for a Super Bowl right now. It was over the long term, this bet's going to pay off. With that said, of course, they won a bunch of games last season. This is not a team that's rebuilding. Like, they won a bunch of games just last year. And now it seems like they're almost kind of in a rebuild mode, and Justin Jefferson's pissed, and there's a lot of turmoil. So, of course, there's not a single person who would say that they wouldn't be better off this season with Sam Darnold. The question is, does JJ progress and become a franchise quarterback over the course of time with Minnesota? We don't have a lot of faith so far that that's going to happen, but that's the end goal. And only until there's a decision there or that's a reality one way or another can we definitively say it was the right or wrong move to let Sam Darnold walk.
Yeah. I think the other question to ask is, like, would this Vikings team with Sam Darnold win this division?
I think so. I think at the level that Sam Darnold is playing at
this week, not included.
This week, not honestly. Actually, even this week, and we'll get to that game. Yeah, I understand the loss. I still think the Vikings would be in the conversation a lot.
Right.
A lot. Like they would be like it, and I'm not going to say they would do it, but I think that we would. This division that we had anticipated being the hardest division in football going into the season, if Sam Darnold was still quarterbacking for the Vikings, I think we're still looking at this division saying it's anybody's game. And right now we have the Vikings at the bottom. The Vikings are at the bottom, and I think in large part that is because of J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the situation, before as the Vikings are looking at it, you're like, are we probably going to win the division next year with as strong as these teams looked? You're like, probably not. It would probably be an outside shot. We might have a shot, but financially it's probably best if we move to J.J. McCarthy and just see what we have, just like what Scotty was alluding to. But now that you know what you know, you're like, oh, fuck, if we just would have kept Darnold, we probably would be winning this division. We'd probably have a home playoff game, and that would be kind of cool too. But I think financially they made the right call. I think for wins and losses, they very obviously did not make the right call, just as this is playing out. But as the future looks like, I'm not sold on JJ. Like, I know we talk about it all the time. You kind of know, and I don't see it, and I have yet to see it. I don't know if we'll ever see it. That was a knock on him coming out of college. Like, he was very much babied by Harbaugh in that offensive line and that running game. Like, he never was asked to do anything more than just complete a few passes here or there. And then, it's just,
which is all correct, by the way. But it's also really interesting because that is not prototypically how Kevin O'Connell runs his offense. He usually has a gunslinger back there and is going to throw it 30 to 40 times a game. And that's not what JJ did in college, just like you had mentioned. So I found that to be pretty interesting that they decided on McCarthy. And, you've already kind of showed your hand, Alan, as far as my next question is, where do we sit with JJ McCarthy? We were optimistic about Kevin O'Connell, and that's really what we were buying stock on. Is we weren't buying stock on the talent that was JJ McCarthy. We were buying stock on Kevin O'Connell. He's a quarterback whisperer. He gets the best out of his quarterbacks. He knows how to really coach them up and get them to be able to make the plays that they need in order to put them in a position to win. But we haven't seen it this season. And for reference, McCarthy's now played 5 games, and he hasn't looked. I could maybe say in 4 quarters in total out of those 5 games, McCarthy has looked competent or usable. In this last game, he was not good at all. He went 16 for 32. He threw for 150 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. He was missing Justin Jefferson on quite a few different balls, and we saw Justin Jefferson like very visibly frustrated in this game. where do we sit with JJ? Scotty, you were someone who had said, I think JJ McCarthy will be the best quarterback to come out of the class, not because he's the best talent, but because of Kevin O'Connell. That certainly is not coming into play here thus far. I mean, where are you at with JJ?
Yeah, I mean, it's a head scratcher for sure. And it's especially a head scratcher considering everything, because obviously they drafted him, so they saw something in him ahead of time. And then, when he got injured and they sat him the entire year, they had an opportunity to keep Sam Darnold, who played really, really well for them, and they chose to move on. And so, yeah, there could be some other factors there, finances, whatever, looking at the division. But the primary thing is just they just had faith in J.J. McCarthy. They thought, okay, this kid's ready. He's been with us for a year. He's demonstrated that he is ready to take the reins. And so far, we just haven't really seen what they saw during the course of the last season and in the offseason. It has not come to fruition on the field at all. And he just looks like a rookie. And unfortunately, when you're a rookie and you look like a rookie, you just hope that that's kind of a short window that you look like a rookie. But for him, it's every time he takes the field, he looks like a rookie, and we're not seeing improvement. But at this point, you're in the season with him. So you finish out the season and see if there's any improvement or any reason to stick with him. But then, at the end of the season, if he's still, average, I think he's thrown 9 picks in 5 games. Like, if that continues the whole season, you can't, you can't continue with this. You at the very least have to go get someone competent to back him up and be ready to make the switch next year.
Yeah. And as a point of comparison, not to belabor a point, but Carson Wentz through 5 games was already at 1,200 yards passing, and JJ's at 800. And he's barely completing 50% of his passes. And he has one of the best
Justin
weapons.
Jefferson.
He has one of the best weapons in the NFL. Like, I think that's
so.
There's a disconnect. Either he can't do it or he's not ready to do it. And I'm going to go ahead and put all my chips on. He just can't do it. I just don't think it is in his wheelhouse to play at that level.
So the next question then is, if you believe he can't do it, if we all sit here and believe that he cannot do it, and what does the organization do? I mean, do you re-roll at quarterback? Because for all intents and purposes,
one full season.
This was his rookie year because he didn't get to play last year. And if you really think about it, him not playing last year is the only reason Sam Darnold got the contract with Seattle. So that's kind of just an interesting little segue. But this is his rookie season, and so if you're that organization, do you say, hey, we have this quarterback on a rookie contract? Do we need to go pay a competent backup to come in and end up being the starting quarterback, and we give him more time to develop? Do we give him another shot next year? Do we cut ties, say, F it, this was a project failed, and we need to, figure out what to do moving forward? Because the Vikings, I mean, this is kind of the same thing that happened when Stephon Diggs was with the Vikings, where Stephon Diggs at the time was arguably the best wide receiver in the league, kind of like Justin Jefferson is now. He's not getting any younger. He wants to play at a high level. You have a lot of assets to be able to try and compete at a high level, but the most important piece of the entire team is not playing at a high level. Do you say, fuck it, we're done with this? Let's just go find, a usable backup to make a Sam Darnold-esque situation and just run with it? Or do you give him another year and say, let's try and develop the kid? Because everybody else's clock is ticking.
Yeah, if you're in the front office there, you are doing everything you can to get Mac Jones on that roster, and just to be the backup. Like, you can start off. I think you have to have JJ finish the season, and then you go into next year, and you're like, okay, we're kind of in a window here. We got a lot of weapons. We're competing at a high level, and we have competent quarterback play. Let's let JJ play week 1, week 2, and if it does not look drastically different, we're switching to someone we think can win right now. I don't think you can do that at this point in the season, but I think early next season you kind of are obligated to at that point.
Well, this is an incredible transition. Jameis Winston starts for the Giants. What if they make a trade for Jameis Winston? What if
at this point, wherever Jameis goes, I'm just going to be a fan of that team as long as they play him.
You have to be.
Obviously the Giants didn't play him at first, and that just pisses you off. So he's got to play. He's got to play. But I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be fine at this point. I know we're moving on, but it seems like any quarterback that they bring in with some experience, you're going to have better output on the Vikings than JJ's had so far.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Jameis Winston in this game did not look bad. The Packers won this game 27-20. First and foremost, let's just give a golf clap. We got to see Jameis play this season, and golly, my heart was so full going into Sunday because I just knew that I was going to get to watch the best quarterback in the league get to come out, do what he does best, do what he enjoys, and it's going to make the day better. But I have a question for you guys. Is it at all alarming that this Giants team that is completely decimated on offense, they almost beat the Packers? You know, is that concerning for you? Like, for what? Who are the Packers? Are they on fraud alert? Are they? I don't know what the Packers are, and I guess really that's what when I was watching this game, and so, you know, with how close it is, what are the Packers? Because I haven't been able to figure it out this entire season. Is like they're in games, they win games that they should win, but they kind of stumble through it. Like I don't know. I don't know what the Packers are, and for the Giants to almost come in and beat the Packers leaves me just with even more questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, coming off the last two of losing to the Panthers, losing to the Eagles, looking pedestrian at best in both of those games, and then almost losing to a depleted Giants team. Like, this team's trending towards not being very good at all, which goes back to the Bears winning the division sentiment.
And they will.
Yes. Which they're just heading in the wrong direction, and they don't seem to have very many answers. And Jacobs, got banged up in that game too, and Love was out for a spell. It's like, at times this team just looks super uninterested. Kraft being out for, I think, was he for the season? He's on, I don't know if it was season-ending IR, but I know he's on IR. But the Packers just have a lot of questions. And at the very first game of the season when they beat the Lions, I was like, oh, shit, they looked really, really good.
Yeah,
I was like all in. I was like, oh, shit, like this Packer team's game to play. And it's like since then, we haven't even seen anything remotely close to that team.
Yeah.
So it's very, very confusing. And I know Love is like a foregone conclusion with the Packers, but for me, it's like a question of like,
is he?
Is
he? Because
this,
and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my next thing. Is for as long as I can remember, it was Brett Favre, and then they had Aaron Rodgers, and he sat in the back and waited his turn, and Jordan Love did the same thing. And it's like every single time the Packers seem to hit on a quarterback. Is it Jordan Love?
I think Jordan Love is playing fine, and I think he is perfectly capable of being like a highly successful playoff winning quarterback in Green Bay. I think the problem is it's not that deep. It's just the simplest solution that we've been talking about for years, which is they just don't have any alpha wide receivers. They've got a bunch of wide receivers who are like pretty good, and they have a hard time getting separation, and that makes this offense just a little bit one dimensional. With a good running back and a decent running game, it's just difficult to rely on the passing game to be successful. And I don't really think it falls on Jordan Love. I think it's just the wide receivers there are like pretty good, but that's why you're not getting consistency.
That's what the Packers have been for years now. Even when Rodgers was still there,
they had Devontae there, and he was an alpha wide receiver. That's what and that's what you. That's
but then
Devontae
left, and then you look at the wide receiver room since then, and it's been a bunch of middling guys,
and they've been middling since then. I mean, that's
they spent draft capital. This was the first time since 2001, I want to say, since they drafted an offensive player in the first round. They went and got Matthew Golden. He hasn't really been the alpha that they've needed him to be. Yeah. Christian Watson, has struggled with injury and hasn't really been that alpha. He has at times. I think their alpha wide receiver, to be quite honest with you, is Tucker Kraft, and he's out for the season now. Yeah. And so that makes it even worse for them, because he was the consistency from the passing game that they no longer have. I think part of it is Jordan Love, and that might be too early to say, but I think part of it is Jordan Love, because yes, I get it, but like you look at people were not comparing, but like people were saying like Jordan Love was the top 5 quarterback in the league like last year, and that was a conversation that was being floated around in NFL spaces. And it's like Josh Allen's finding a way to get it done. Patrick Mahomes has found a way to get it done with less. And so like I think part of it is, and it's tough to sit here. Like I think I'm pretty firmly cemented in Jordan Love is not a top 5 quarterback. Like that's just not true.
Right.
I don't even know if I'd put him in top 10. I'd put him maybe around the 10 range, but he's not an upper echelon quarterback at this point in time. And that's where Aaron Rodgers was when he was there. And yes, he had Devontae, and then he didn't have Devontae, and he was still finding success because he was playing at a higher level than I think Jordan Love is currently capable of playing at.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take to say Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. I mean, those are two of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. So no, I think you're right that he's just not there. I don't think that them being as disappointing as they've been so far this season, just in terms of the product on the field, is on Jordan Love. I think if you watch Jordan Love play, he looks fine. Like he's making reads, he's making good throws. It's just he's throwing into tight windows all the time because all of his receivers are like just pretty good, and it just makes it tough to be a quarterback. Now, if you're Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, sometimes you can overcome that, but he's just not at that top tier level, and that's okay. You can still have success. A lot of teams have. He's just not the next coming of Aaron Rodgers, and I think that's fine to say.
I hope so. I hope he's not, because I'm tired of the Packers just hitting on the quarterbacks. Last question on the Packers, very quickly. Matt LaFleur. He was asked by a reporter, and I don't know the exact verbiage that was used, but essentially the question that was asked was like, does he feel any pressure? Or should he be on the hot seat? So I pose that question to you guys. Should Matt LaFleur be on the hot seat?
No, not yet. Not yet. I don't think.
When does that change for you?
I don't know. I was just going to ask, how long are Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur going to bank off that Cowboys playoff win? Like, how long does that go? Because it seems like
pretty
that's
sick, though.
I think that's where a lot of this sentiment is. Where they get a lot of like grace from is because, well, that one time they went down to Dallas and beat the shit out of them in the playoffs. And I think it's like, I don't know. The further you get away from that,
as soon as they're in the playoffs against the Cowboys.
Yeah, right. I think the further you get away from that and the further they get from that success, I just don't think they're far enough away from that yet for him to be on the hot seat. I think he still kind of gets the benefit of the doubt.
And they're second in the division. Like, I know we talked about this division. And their defense is
solid.
We talked about this division being the toughest in football coming in, but what we've seen so far has just been kind of disappointing all the way around, except for our Bears, obviously, which are amazing. But because of that, they're second in the division. So, they're competing. Even though you watch them and you're underwhelmed, they could very well win the division. That's perfectly within the realm of possibility for this team. So nobody's getting fired yet.
And I agree with that, but I wanted to pose that to you guys because it was asked, and there have been some people that are speculating about it. So I figured we should probably do the same.
Yeah.
Let's speculate about Joe Burrow because he will return. However, the Bengals did lose this game against the Steelers 12-34. So, I didn't put this note in here per se, and I believe you did, Scotty, but, you said the Bengals are done. Any hope that they could survive until Burrow is back is now gone. Good luck next year. Burrow's allegedly on the right path to come back. He was removed from IR. He'll be back in a 4-week span. I've seen rumors around week 14, I believe, is when he might be back.
Why? But, why? Can we all just ask, okay, you have this injury-ridden quarterback who is, when he's healthy, one of the best in the league. Your season's pretty much doomed. Why? Just let him recover. I think that's why it's
vague. I think that's why they left it vague. If there was a window or opportunity to
if they won this game, would you still share that same mentality?
I
mean, they'd have to string together several wins for me to. But this loss, I mean, I don't know what their percentage is of making the playoffs. Is it 0?
They're 3-7 right now.
So
over
0.
Halfway mark. They only have they have 1, 2, 3.
What we're talking about here is bringing Joe Burrow back for a meaningless season and saying, hey, I know you get injured every single year. We'd just like you to do it again for no reason. That's that would be so stupid.
Yeah, because when are they expecting him to be back? They want him to come back for the Ravens in a couple weeks? Is that what they're saying?
I think that's kind of the time frame that I've seen.
Well, now that we have the news from Schefter that Jamar Chase is now suspended for spitting on Jalen Ramsey, now he's gone. Now they play the Patriots next week. So you're going against the Patriots, who are pretty solid. Now the Patriots got to win these games now that they're supposed to win.
And do you think the Patriots will win this game?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, if you're 3-8, you're in the end of November, and you have a quarterback that is nursing injuries and is injury prone. I almost consider that malpractice if he's allowed to come back and be a quarterback on this team for the last month, when your next run of games after that Ravens games goes Bills, then Ravens. So I'm just I don't know if there's any two teams that they want any part of. Not that the Ravens are world beaters this year. It's just, it's a division rivalry game. I just don't think you put them out there under those circumstances.
I agree. I agree with everything that you guys are saying. I don't know if Zach Taylor would agree, because that's the other thing is he's playing for his job.
He go.
Right? Zach Taylor has notoriously been on the hot seat, or maybe not hot seat, but NFL media has been putting him on the hot seat for the last couple seasons, and he's still there.
He should have been on the hot seat more than he is, and I think one of the reasons he hasn't been is because of Burrow's injuries, where it's he's always got that excuse to fall back on, that the reason they're not finding success is because their star quarterback is injured. What do you want him to do?
Blanky.
But, the last couple seasons of having one of the worst defenses in football, and then on top of that, Joe Burrow obviously being out and not finding success,
do you think that's Zach Taylor's fault, though?
No,
because
I think it's an organizational failure.
That's agreed. I don't disagree with that, but at some point, if this was any other head coach with any other organization, and I think if Joe Burrow stays healthy over the last 5 years since they made that Super Bowl appearance, I think Zach Taylor's on the hot seat for 3 of those years in a really serious way.
Yeah.
Do you think he should be on the hot seat right now?
I think yes, but also I don't think that firing him and bringing somebody else on is going to fix the problem. Like,
end of season,
it's an organization problem.
End of season. Like,
Yeah, sure.
do you think? So you think that he should still keep his job going into 2026?
I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. I mean, this is just a team that's plagued with so many problems that you could put, Mike Ditka in that organization, and it's not really going to matter. Like, you have to completely replace your personnel. They decided to buy in big on their wide receivers, even though that was stupid too. It's like they just made a bunch of wrong decisions. So, like, you can put anyone there, and I just think it's going to be tough.
You have a cash, poor organization that is, had to sell the naming rights to their stadium just so they could afford these contracts because they didn't have the cash flow or money to do it. And you have an owner that is very he has a,
cheap.
He gets very tight. He squeaks, if you mention any money around him. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think they move on from him for the mentions that Scotty raised. Like, oh, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Everybody's injured. What are you supposed to do? And I think he's in this Mike McDaniels yo-yo simulation where it's like, oh, well, the end of last year, we almost did it. And it's like, let's come do it again this year. And they're like, all right, let's do it again this year. And then Joe Burrow gets hurt. Like, oh, what do you want me to do? Joe Burrow's hurt. And so just like Matt said, you have these built-in excuses where it's hard to say that if you put truth serum to everybody, you'd be like, yeah, this coach has got to go. But because of the circumstances, you can easily talk yourself in and out and be like, well, it's probably not. Like, anybody probably could have been in this situation because of what we have.
The biggest thing is the defense, which I know it's a personnel thing, but also, as the head coach, you're the field general. You're the leader of the army, and your defense has not just been bad, but pathetic for 2 straight seasons. Like, at some point, there's got to be some accountability there by someone in the organization, and so far, the's been nothing.
Yeah, the fact that their defensive coordinator is still around is wild to me.
And they got rid of Lou Anarumo, who's with the Colts now. And you look at what the Colts are doing, you're like, oh, okay, well.
But I think that also is the personnel.
Any of these are related, but yeah. I agree. I agree 100% because the personnel they had on their Super Bowl run, their defense was the reason they made it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. It was very less to do with Joe Burrow. You're the quarterback, so you get all the praise. But that was that defense and Lou game planning and scheming and getting them all the way there was the reason they actually won, the AFC and got to the Super Bowl last year. And then it's like the organization failed to recognize that. Like, they didn't see that. They looked on TikTok and Instagram like, oh, it's obviously Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Look at how much everybody loves them. And then they built their whole identity on that. And they're like, why do we suck? And it's like, because you didn't focus on the thing that actually got you the wins.
Defense
You were so enamored with the flashiness of Joe Burrow that you were totally blind to the fact that you have a total team to consider. And it wasn't just Joe Burrow.
Sure.
But they didn't see it that way.
I think we're all in agreement here that if Zach Taylor does get fired, the Bengals would probably be one of the best landing spots in this coaching cycle. Is that fair? I mean, could be because we don't know.
Yeah, you always want access.
Would you rather go to the Giants or the Bengals?
Oh, the Bengals.
If you're going to offer me Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, there's not a team I would choose over that. It's just it's a tough situation with the ownership and with the defense. But you have to imagine that at some point the defense is going to get better. They're going to cycle through this roster and get better players.
You hope so.
You just hope that you're the one that's around when that happens.
Yeah. They barely had enough money. Hendrickson was almost gone because they were struggling with money.
Which they probably should have let him go too. It's time. They're in rebuild mode on the defense. They don't need to be paying T. Higgins and Hendrickson.
It's like their front office is playing the NFL like a kid plays Madden. They're like, well, I can't let this guy go because it's this guy. It's T. Higgins. He's pretty good. And it's like, yeah, but you need to stop the run.
What you could have done was franchise tag him and then trade him for picks or players.
But why? It's because Joe Burrow didn't want that.
Right.
Joe Burrow wanted his wide receivers.
And I'm sorry, where's Joe Burrow right now?
Yeah, he's playing with his fucking Batman fucking shit.
This front office is made up of a bunch of younger Jerry Joneses, it seems like. It just seems like they're just incapable of making the correct decision.
Go get a competent general manager and figure that out. Because that's really, I don't think it's a Zach Taylor problem. I think to an extent you can blame Zach Taylor on certain things.
Yes, 2 things can be true at the same time. Yeah. He cannot be a very good coach and the organization can suck.
Yeah. I think it's more if I had to choose between which one is more true, I think it's the organization sucks than Zach Taylor sucks. And I'm not saying that he's great.
Correct. If the organization was better, okay, look at no offense to the Eagles, but look at Nick Sirianni. A very incompetent coach, very much everybody can agree is being propped up by his GM and the talent around him.
Not everyone can agree with that. There are lots of people who would be really mad at you for saying that about the fourth winningest coach in the NFL.
You're
like
also
Nick
idiots,
Sirianni.
and if you support a city that puts a statue of a fictional character as the center point of your whole city, then you should also reevaluate how you think of your life. Anyways, I think we could agree that the Eagles, if they had a better head coach, or if they like if you swapped everything and you put Nick Sirianni on the Bengals right now, is he fixing anything?
No.
Like it's very obvious where you're deficient, but I think it's the organizational that can prop you up.
Yeah, and I think in this instance they're not. All right, let's do our ad break, gentlemen.
This combo meal's got combinations. Make this thing your own creation. Entree, drink, and choice of sides. Oh, and it's free to swap fries. BK, have it your way.
Leather Brain is presented by Burger King. Ladies and gentlemen, they did it again. Burger King resurrected the snack wraps. The same wraps you used to destroy in high school after practice, like they were part of your training regimen. They are back, crispy, saucy, and absolutely perfect. And listen, if your offense is struggling, if your quarterback can't read a defense, if your coach is calling plays like he's using a Madden on rookie mode, Burger King snack wraps are the only thing wrapping anything properly this season. Do yourself a favor. Go to Burger King. Get a couple snack wraps and taste what competent execution actually feels like. Burger King snack wraps. Go get them today. Thank you for sponsoring the show and keeping the lights on, Burger King. We do love you, gentlemen. Let's move over to Seahawks Rams. This game was awesome. And you know, I did this weekend. I made a future bet. I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, gentlemen. Ooh. They're my leading candidate. I placed a future bet. If they can stay healthy, I do believe that the Rams are going to the Super Bowl this season. Matthew Stafford is playing lights out. This entire team is really playing really, really great. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm betting on the the Rams.
I appreciate being open and honest because I think the Seahawks defense is top notch.
I think it's good.
This was a slugfest. Like both quarterbacks, once the game settled in, they definitely struggled. Mm-hmm. They struggled to score points, and this was definitely one of those like, oh, this is, you know, like, am I watching a playoff game right now? And
it felt like it.
It felt like it. But I agree. I think Stafford's healthy. He's playing really, really well. Loved Kyron Williams at the beginning of that game, setting the stage with his runs. Like that team looks unreal. Like very excited to see that Rams team later in the season against some of these other teams. So I agree. That was my takeaway. I'm not going to share anything else because then it takes away from my Pab of the week. But that's where my thoughts rest.
Okay. I just think it's so annoying that the Rams have been so good they won their Super Bowl, and it was supposed to be like, all right, they sold everything to win the Super Bowl. Now they're going to suck for a decade. And no, they're just like always a top tier team all the time. I had a conversation. My brother-in-law is a big Rams fan. And at the beginning of the season, he was like, yeah, I just don't know. Like, quarterback's getting kind of old, got rid of Cooper Kupp. Like, it just kind of feels like we're teetering on maybe not being. It's like, dude, as long as Matt Stafford's standing, he's good. Puka Nacua is like one of the most exciting athletes in football, upgraded in some other places. Like, this is a team that can win the Super Bowl, and they've proven it throughout the season. And I know we all thought that. It's just been clear that this might be the best team in the NFL.
I think it is.
Legitimately.
I think it is. I think they're the best coach team. I think they have talent across the board, and that's why I placed that future on them. But you know, I shared that with you guys as far as my future bet. But my biggest takeaway from this game was not really the Rams, to be honest with you. It was actually the Seahawks. You know, I've been trying to figure out all season long, what are the Seahawks? You know, they've played some middling of the pack teams just due to their schedule. They've won obviously a good handful of games, and they look good. I wanted to see him play against the Rams because we know what the Rams are. We know who the Rams have been year over year, just like you kind of alluded to, Scotty. The Rams are a very good, well-coached, talented team. And so I wanted to see the Seahawks against the Rams to see where you pair up. Where's the deficiencies? Where's the holes? Where's the cause for concern? And to be honest, I didn't really see a lot that gave me cause for concern. I think the Seahawks are a legitimate team at this point. That was my takeaway from watching this game.
Yeah, same.
Didn't Daniel Jones didn't Sam Darnold throw 4 interceptions this game? Am I making that up?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
So,
he
but
threw 4.
It's the defense that is.
I was going to say
serious
the defense
problem.
impressed me. The defense impressed me. Yeah. That's what I took away was that Darnold. He's going to have these games, right? Like he's not. We know what kind of quarterback he is. It's like good to have this game now rather than in the playoffs. Like hopefully can figure some things out, because I'm sure this is going to come up later. They're going to play this team or a similar team. But that was my takeaway, was like, I wanted to see this Seahawks defense against this Rams offense. And I wanted to see in that first drive, I was like, oh, this might get out of hand. Because after the first quarter, it was 14-3. And I'm like, oh, this might get ugly. But then the defense kind of dug in and made it like damn near impossible for the Rams to even think about moving the ball for the rest of the game. So I think love to see these two teams line up again, and and I'm excited to watch where these teams go. But that was it for me. The Seahawks defense is for real.
I think their offense is also very good, and I understand that Sam Darnold threw 4 picks. I think that's the byproduct of just having Sam Darnold as a quarterback, is sometimes you're going to get those games.
But that's kind of an important part of the conversation, because when we're talking about the Rams, like, we're all bought in. This is a team that can win the Super Bowl. I don't feel the same way about the Seahawks, even though I feel like they're a really good team, and it's because of games like this from Sam Darnold. Like, this is the difference maker between these two teams, and this is what is going to keep the Seahawks from being a top-tier team, despite the fact that they have played really, really well and have a great elite defense. This is the problem, and that's why I think it's an important point to bring up about the Seahawks going forward. Like, any given time, Sam Darnold might just revert back into the Sam Darnold that we've seen in big moments throughout his career, and it's just not been good.
I think just looking at the sample size of the last 2 seasons of Sam Darnold, or rather this season and last season with the Vikings, like, I think Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a great quarterback, but I think he's a good quarterback, and I think that's really what you need from him on this Seahawks team, because their defense is so good. I think there's some pieces that they need to figure out this offseason. The Seahawks aren't going to the Super Bowl. The Seahawks are probably going to the playoffs. They're a frisky team. I think labeling them as frisky is kind of where I'm at with the Seahawks. Like, they're a good team. They're going to beat the teams that they should. They might squeak in a win against a team that they shouldn't, but I still think that they need some additional pieces. I mean, JSN is having a historic season. He is a top-tier, upper echelon wide receiver, which is great.
Did you see that one-handed catch on the sideline of this game? It was he just made it look so, like, the catch itself was impressive, but he just made it look so easy. I do this. What do you want?
He's already at 1,100 yards.
That's crazy.
But you've done it where you don't like you're not paying him top quarterback dollar money. You have some finances to be able to go get some more pieces. And I think that's the important thing from a roster construction standpoint that I look at is, okay, if they go get another wide receiver, if they figure out what they're going to do with their running back room, Kenneth Walker, is he going to be around? Zach Charbonnet, I don't know what's going on there. And that's kind of a question of itself. But
this is a Jimmy G on the 49ers Super Bowl run kind of team, where it's like, you've got a quarterback who's fine, and the weapons around him are good enough. The defense is good enough. Like, they make a few more changes, and they can be a legitimate, serious team.
It's those things that happen in the NFL where you catch lightning in a bottle, and you're like, I don't know what we have here. Like, wait, this is fucking good. This is really good. And then we'll see in like a few years how it all plays out. Because you'll probably, what I'm thinking with this Seahawks team right now is, you're going to look back on this team and be like, oh wow, they had a lot of really, really, really nice pieces. You know what I mean? And I think it was like, oh, they were a quarterback away. And I think but you don't know what you have until you play it all out. And I think that's what we're seeing play out.
And I don't even, at this point, I mean, I've been a Sam Darnold hater. I don't even want to say they're a quarterback away. Like, yeah, if you took a top 10 or a top 5 quarterback and put it on this roster, that could be the difference maker. But what would you have had to give up to get that? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like financially and roster construction standpoint. So I also say, the Seahawks are going to be in competition for the next few years, or in the conversation of like good team for the next few years.
That is why Bengals, you could have a complete team together, not just
just 3 awesome players.
But yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah. 49ers Cardinals, welcome back, Brock Purdy. 49ers win this game 41-22, and I'm going to start on a positive note. And Scotty, you'd kind of already mentioned this at the top of the show. Jacoby Brissett now holds the record for most completed passes in the regular season in all of the NFL. He completed 47 out of 57. So Jacoby Brissett, man, he owns the record. He is the number 1 record holder for most completed passes in all of the NFL. The problem, gentlemen, is it doesn't matter because we still lost. He did throw for 452 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I will say this.
Kyler could never.
Kyler could never. No, I agree with you.
57 pass attempts. Good Lord.
And you had an 80% completion percentage.
You run like 70. You run like 75, 80 plays a game, maybe. And
we threw it.
This performance is like, we're kind of joking about this, but this is like legit. This is a fucking serious stat line. That's dope.
That is
cool. It's like seeing an eclipse.
Well,
Well, this is kind of what you have to do as a Cardinals fan. You got to lean into this stuff because, like, you're kind of
I was.
So you got to be like, hell yeah, Jacoby Brissett's fucking kick ass.
Which I'm excited for. It
doesn't seem like you're excited.
Yeah, you don't seem very excited.
I'm not because we're shit. And so it's like hard to get excited about anything. But like this game right here is the exact reason I'm done with Kyler. I want to move on from Kyler. And I said this last week. I use Brissett as a bridge quarterback. I'm fine with it. I don't expect us to win anytime soon. So let's just figure out the quarterback situation among all the other problems that we have. Play Brissett. Keep Brissett. I don't care. Get rid of Kyler.
What's incredible is you had two wide receivers. I say wide receivers. Trey McBride is one of them. But you had two pass catchers, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride.
Yeah.
25 receptions, 200 yards, a touchdown. That is unreal.
Michael Wilson looked, we didn't have Marv because he got his appendix removed.
Crazy.
Shout out appendix. But
yeah,
Jacoby Brissett, I can't, that is unreal. Like, the unfortunate thing for the Cardinals, I don't know if you watch this game. I'm not going to put you on blast.
I did.
Slaps.
I did.
When you start off with like a 99
started watching.
Yard,
I was going to say
when you start the game off with a 99-yard kick return that results in a 1-yard rush for McCaffrey. That's hard. That's really hard to like.
Oh yeah, no. And like I was like, okay, this is fucking great.
Yeah,
and then I didn't watch the entire game. I will be honest because I was like, okay, this is done. This is over with. There's nothing for me to get excited about here. But I'm done. I'm done with Kyler. I don't want him on my team anymore. I don't want him to get any more starts with the Cardinals. I want us to trade him and be done with it. And if we can't trade him, cut him. I don't give a shit. We'll eat the money. I'm just done with it. Blow it up. Be done with it. I'm done with Kyler. That little midget can go find his own home. I'm done.
Got him.
Go live in a tree with all his friends.
I just can't believe that. That's what an incredible game. Like Jacoby Brissett just, and it's not like it's not like Jacoby Brissett had like Justin Jefferson. Like, oh, okay, of course. He just lobbed it up to him 100 times. Like, we're talking Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. Shout out Trey McBride. I know he's really good. Michael Wilson didn't have on my radar coming into this game of like going off like this, but that is like, that's either game plan that was trying to happen and couldn't because of the quarterback that wouldn't allow it to happen, or you just like randomly caught lightning in a bottle. But that's just still insane to me. That is anybody that started Jacoby Brissett, just please comment and just keep chatting us because what a
I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody did.
And by the way, this is technically a regular season stat because Big Ben completed 47 passes in the playoffs. But he still tied that record. So he's tied for the most completions in any NFL game. Okay. Well, yeah.
Allegedly in a bathroom.
Allegedly. One of the things that I took away from this game, aside from the cool Jacoby Brissett thing, from the 49ers perspective, Brock Purdy, he did return to this game. And, there was a lot of chatter in the 49ers camp about a lot of 49ers fans were pissed that they paid Purdy what they did when Mac Jones was essentially, quote unquote, the same thing. I think it's safe to say, like, I understand this is the Cardinals. We're really bad. But if this game is any indication, Brock Purdy is a much better quarterback than Mac Jones. And I just wanted to state that because I had seen a lot of people who were like, we could have had Mac Jones, and why do we pay Purdy all this money? Brock Purdy is just a much better option for this team. I think he opens up the offense and allows them to do a lot more things. So to answer your question, Jay Clay 4209, when you asked about Glock Purdy or Mac 10, it's Purdy for me. It is Brock Purdy, and I understand the financial difference, but I think Brock Purdy's just a much better quarterback, and I think he allows the offense to do things that Mac Jones can.
Correct. He was very close to winning a Super Bowl. Like, he was right there, more so than many other quarterbacks, and I think you got to go with the Glock.
Yeah, get the Glock out, baby.
Well, there's a reason too that I think we're far enough away from it now that we've stopped appreciating what Brock Purdy did, which is like barely get drafted and then fight his way into the starting lineup and then go to a Super Bowl. Like, Mac Jones doesn't
incredible.
do that. I hate to break it to you people. And it wasn't 49ers fans that were saying this. It was everyone else making fun of 49ers fans. Like, wow, why'd you idiots pay this farm kid when you could get anybody to do this? No, he's a special player. He's been that way for a long time.
I agree. Last question here. And I want to ask you guys, as the people who aren't Cardinals fans, should Jonathan Gannon, head coach for the Cardinals, be fired?
No.
You don't think so?
Not yet.
I think so.
You think so? I think so as well. But I'm a Cardinals fan.
The only reason, it's not really anything to do with Jonathan Gannon, except for the fact that he's completely and totally underwhelming. Like, he's not a good personality. He doesn't seem to be a super head coach, to stick with the white guy themes. He doesn't seem to be very super. So I think you're going to get a new quarterback. get a new head coach. Let them start at the same time. Let them build together instead of, keeping Gannon around, getting a new quarterback, and then now you're firing Gannon, and now you're in that cycle of like, okay, new quarterback, new head coach, new playbook, all this stuff. So, yeah, just get rid of them both at the same time, start over.
Okay, I agree with that. I think he has been very underwhelming, and I don't think he's done anything to really help this organization. And this is his second year. Just be done with it. Get that mouth breather out of here. Okay. Oh my gosh, I didn't make a banner for this one. Ravens Browns, gentlemen. It finally happened, and the Ravens did win this game 23-16. But we've been asking, we've been talking about it all offseason. Instead of talking about Aaron Rodgers this offseason, the entire conversation was around Shedeur Sanders. We finally got to see him play after Dylan Gabriel left the game due to a concussion, and it puts Gabriel's availability this upcoming week into question. So Shedeur Sanders' stats in this game: he went 4 for 16 for 47 yards, and he threw 1 interception. His QBR rating was, hold your breath, this is crazy, 2.4. So
it wasn't 0.
Wasn't 0. It was not 0. So there's something to improve.
Not bad.
So I'm going to say this: maybe, just maybe, these NFL coaches know what they're doing when they don't play the guy that the entire masses want to see, except for Jameis Winston. He's the exception. The Browns Stadium went absolutely nuts when Sanders went out on the field. You could hear it on the broadcast. Like, the entire stadium was just an uproar. However, I cannot imagine that they left the stadium at the end of that game feeling the same way.
It probably didn't do anything for Gabriel's concussion either.
He's just got
everybody quiet, quiet down.
He's had a brain blast.
He's like, oh.
This is embarrassing, obviously, but it's hard to blame Browns fans. I mean, if you're sitting there and you got Shedeur and your offense sucks so bad, of course you're going to want them to put Shedeur in. And I honestly think it would have been exactly the same the other way around, even though Shedeur's got all the name recognition and everybody knows who he was. But if they started with Shedeur and he's been playing as bad as Gabriel's been playing or as underwhelming, and they've been losing games despite their defense being fucking awesome, if once they sent Gabriel in, the crowd would have erupted too. They're just looking for any reason to be optimistic.
I don't know if I believe that.
I
don't know if I believe that, just because of the hype that was surrounding Sanders versus Gabriel.
A good way to deal with hype is playing like shit for weeks on end. And Gabriel's been fine some games, but this is a team that if they had anything going on offense, they would be competing in every game that they're playing in, because they are kind of competing in a lot of the games that they're playing in, and it's because their defense is so good, and Myles Garrett is one of the best players in the NFL, but their offense just can't put anything together. So I don't blame the crowd for cheering for Shedeur. I think if I was a Browns fan, I would have done the exact same thing. Like, please just show me anything different. Just give me some opportunity to do anything different.
Yeah, well, and then, after this game, Sanders addressed everybody in the locker room and said that this loss was on him. He essentially played like shit and needs to be better. And Myles Garrett actually injected into his speech and said that it's not just Sanders, it's all of them, that they all need to play better, and that this loss isn't on Sanders alone. And then, Kevin Stefanski, the head coach for the Browns, he had even he declined to speculate about the possibility of Sanders starting this week against the Raiders into potentially a long-term stint as the starter. So he's not locked in on Sanders. I think clearly, if this is what we're going to get from Sanders on a week-to-week basis, I think there's very obviously a reason why you shouldn't be locked into him. But you traded Joe Flacco this offseason, or in season, excuse me, and now you just got to wonder, like, probably neither of these guys are the future for the Browns. I mean, I think that's probably fair to say.
I think so too, but I'm honestly of the opinion that, like, Dylan Gabriel honestly might give you the best chance to win games, but he's not the future, and that this team, even if you win a few more games through the second half of the season, it's not going to make a big difference. So just put Shedeur in. Just see what you have, because I think there's no doubt in my mind that Shedeur is the upside player. Like, he's the guy who has the upside, who could put the team on his back. It's just whether or not he's capable of doing that in with any level of consistency. And so far, we have no reason to think that. But Dylan Gabriel is just kind of blah. Like, he's like Jonathan Gannon, except quarterback. He's just like, he's fine.
He's the Jonathan Gannon of quarterback.
Yeah,
that's the greatest take I've ever heard. I think sorry to step away for a second, but I thought Shedeur Sanders, like, obviously we're laughing at his stat line, but it's always tough to come into when, the group project's already underway. He didn't get he probably didn't get any first team reps, very minimally. So
that was the first time he'd ever thrown to Jerry Jeudy at all. Like that, which is crazy. Like, when you think about it, it's kind of crazy.
Okay, I don't believe that.
I don't
I've
either.
heard that too,
I don't either. But I
like, randomly you're just walking around, like, hey, you want catch this real quick?
You want to have a catch?
You want to have a catch?
You want to have a catch session with me, pal?
No, I just think, I mean, he's been the second string quarterback. I understand he's not getting first team reps all the time, but there's no way that he's not throwing to the first.
That's the chatter I've seen. I'm not saying I believe it either.
That's hilarious. That's like Paul Bunyan type shit. Like, that's the first time he's even seen Jerry Jeudy. He didn't even know what he looked like.
He's never even held a football before. Till right now, it's a miracle.
First time he was in Cleveland, wherever the fuck they were.
Well, on the opposite side of this game here. The Ravens, they almost lost to the Browns, gentlemen. And the Ravens, they're currently second place in the AFC North. They're 5-5. They're right behind the Steelers. Are the Ravens, in your mind, are they still a playoff darling? Or, where are we at with this Ravens team in general? Because they almost lost to the Browns. They've been very underwhelming compared to years past as far as where this team currently is at. So what is your projections or thoughts on the Ravens moving forward?
I know we're going to talk about the Chiefs game a little bit, but this is a little teaser for my thoughts on the Chiefs game, which is I believe in the Ravens as a playoff team more than the Chiefs right now. Because when you look at the Chiefs, they've lost a lot of games. They both lost a lot of games, but the Ravens lost all their games with their star starting quarterback out of the lineup. And since then, it hasn't been like electric, but they've been winning all the games since he's come back. And guess what? The Browns, we all laugh at and make fun of, but they play everybody close. And the reason for that is because they have an elite defense. So every week, the Browns are in the game for the vast majority of the game and then lose it at the end. And so it's like, that's not really surprising that happened again, with a rival like this. And the Ravens, I think, are just fine, and they're on a path to recovering the season and squeaking into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett in the last 3 games has had 10 sacks.
It's fucking
He's
crazy.
Incredible.
Himself, he's had 10 sacks, which is
he looks like
incredible.
He looks like if you put a normal person in like the Captain America machine, like that's what will come out.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah, he's unreal. I think the Ravens. I mean, I don't know how much of Lamar's injuries playing into this. The team just looks very disjointed. It's also a divisional game, which I try not to put too much stock into those because those you see each other twice a year, year after year. Like you just know each other so well that it makes those games very, very difficult overall. Which going back to your Chiefs game, those make those very difficult, anyways. But I think for the Ravens, they got to figure out what their identity is because I get the sense watching these last few games, even before Lamar got hurt, that they just don't even know what their identity is. Like, you have Derrick Henry, but you're kind of using him, and you have Lamar, and he can kind of run, but he's hurt, so you're not using Lamar's legs, and you're trying to I just think they don't know what they are yet. And I think if they can figure that out, I think they're fine. I mean, spoiler alert, somebody's got to win this division, so that's where we're at.
Yeah. Okay. Let's pivot over to the Chargers-Jaguars. This game was disgusting, gentlemen. The Chargers lost this game 6-35.
Love it.
And I know that the Chargers, they're missing some key pieces of the offensive line. Amarian Hampton's out, but what in the absolute hell was this? Like, that's embarrassing.
Here is Herbert's stat line: 10 of 18 for 81 yards and a pick.
That was terrible.
Pretty good.
That was it.
Well,
and you had Keenan Allen, you had Ladd McConkey, you had some pass catchers out there. It wasn't like they had nobody running around.
Well, his offensive line, that's kind of what I was alluding to. His offensive line is really banged up, so I think that certainly played a part in it.
The difference between this team with Joe Alt and without Joe Alt is unfucking real. It's unbelievable to see the difference.
Big shout out,
dude, the dude just must be a tank. Like he is single-handedly, his back must hurt every night from carrying this team wherever they go because when he's on the field, Justin Herbert looks like an MVP candidate, and they're beating top-tier teams. And when he's not on the field, they look fucking terrible.
Okay, here's my thing. You don't have Joe Alt. You know this is a deficiency. Your coach is to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And this is what you come out with against the Jaguars. Like, I mean, the Jaguars are good, but they're not like that good where you can't muster 100 yards throwing.
Yeah.
And I know I texted you guys during the game because I saw the score and I was like, damn, Sunshine might be going off. He might be having himself a day. And it was like, nope, he barely has a pulse too. So we had 2 quarterbacks barely having a pulse, but the score was 35-6.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to begin my weekly Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, here we go.
And so there's if anybody.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, Scotty.
I think it's an OSHA violation to make me sit here for 90 minutes without letting me pee. So I'm going to step out for just 1 second while you rant. I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Thank you. Yeah, I get
You're not on
an OSHA violation. Well, at any rate, so for anybody who doesn't know, Trevor Lawrence, I hate the guy. I think he's a piece of shit. He needs to cut his hair. I think he's a terrible quarterback. And I've said that. I've vocalized that on the show for weeks now. However, what a lot of people might not know is amongst the Leatherbrains team, I think we're somewhat divided because there are some that believe that Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, and then there are some people who actually watch the game and realize that he's not. And just like you said, like, yes, they won this game, but it was not because Trevor Lawrence. It was not because of Trevor Lawrence. It was because of like Bashal Tutin and Travis Etienne. Like, They didn't win this game because of him. He went 14 for 22 for 153 yards and a touchdown. His QBR rating was 62.2, which is usable. But I just want to reiterate the fact that they didn't win this game because Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, because he's not. So I just wanted to state that because there was some resurgence of conversation amongst the Leatherbrains team, Trevor Lawrence, and it's like, what were you watching? Like, what were you watching? He's not good. So I wanted to reiterate that.
They ran the ball, fairly effectively. I wouldn't even say like,
not incredibly well,
but it was effective. And they just completely dominated the Chargers, which is super weird. You want to, when I was digging into this game, you want to know a stat that stood out to me?
What
was the first downs they had?
For
the
like
Chargers,
the Chargers?
The Chargers in this game had 8 first downs.
Nice.
8 first downs.
8 first downs. The Jaguars had 30.
Because they were controlling the ball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, I guess I'm also kind of confused because Harbaugh's kind of a rugged line guy. Like, you think about the teams he's had with Michigan, you think about the teams he has with the 49ers, and it's like, I know Joe Alt's out, but I know they got some injuries on defense, but come on. Like, Tutin was giving you the 1-2 all day to where you couldn't get off the field. Like, I don't know. That was it's hard to peg this one. I want to file it away as like coaching malpractice, but that's just my initial thoughts, because it wasn't like Trevor Lawrence was just ripping you apart and super efficient and just carving you up. You're like, you know what? Some guys just have their day. It was like they didn't even really do anything, but they scored 35 freaking points.
Yeah.
It was super weird. It was
that's just that's been kind of the Jags MO all year, where it's like, I don't think the Jags are that great of a team, but I don't think they're like a bottom of the barrel team, just because they're finding ways to win games despite poor play from a lot of their players. And so I don't understand it, but they're doing it, and clearly did it to great effect in this one, because they beat the shit out of the Chargers 35-6. And really, I know you guys are probably watching this game for, your own purposes as far as the division shakedown, but like the Chiefs, they needed this. They needed this to continue for, like, if the Chargers win out, you're probably screwed. So you're rooting for them.
We're also screwed if the Jaguars win out. So
yeah, this is
they're both ahead
from
of
a Chiefs standpoint. You just basically, the Chiefs are at the point now where, I know Matt said this last week, and we can jump to this right now.
Yeah, let's just here. Yeah, go ahead.
Where we said last week that this was a must win. If Reed and Spags can't figure out a way to put a win together off of a bye, the Chiefs are probably just not a very good football team. Not taking anything away from the Broncos, but I think that's where we're at. And I'm going to hand the mic over to you, Matt.
Well, I specifically put in the notes here you ranting, because I know that I would just talk and talk.
Do you want me to just say my piece?
Let me just set the stage so people are aware of this. Okay?
Before you do.
Yeah.
For anybody who, nobody can see our show notes, nobody can see what is coming next. I said this to you earlier, you might want to go to a publishing house, because the small novel that you wrote for specifically this game, I think could be published into a book. So I just want to start there.
Well,
I wrote like 2 things.
I would like to
There's a whole page.
I would like to point out, first of all, it's not a whole page. Second of all, it's bullet points. So there are spaces in between the sentences.
3/4 of a page.
And second, I was out here trying to let my emotions out and stop bottling them up so I don't jump off the Bellevue Bridge. And Hunter comes in and starts shaming me. He's shaming me for trying to.
I was just like, where's the notes for the the Ravens and the Browns that are this in depth and well written? And
these aren't in depth at all. It's just me rambling about all the things I feel.
All right, take it away.
Okay, well, I'm starting with the facts. Okay, the Chiefs now have a 9% chance of winning the AFC West. I don't think there's a single Chiefs fan who realistically thinks that's even a possibility. So you might as well make that 0. And then we have a 54% chance to make the playoffs, which admittedly is higher than I expected it to be after the game. But the reason it's higher is because, the teams that we lost are we lost the one-on-one matchup with, or, in our division. Obviously, you have the Chargers, you have the Broncos, and we have to play them again. So theoretically, if we beat the Broncos and beat the Chargers, we're going to be in a better position. But at this point, with those lost tie breaks, to the Bills and to the Jaguars and all the people that are also kind of in the hunt in the AFC, like, this is a team that's going to have to win 11 games. And I don't know, I think how many games are left? Like, we're going to have to win 6 out of the last 7 in order to even have an opportunity to make the playoffs. Like, they're saying 54% chance. I think in my heart of heart, I think it's a way lower than that, because this team basically has to be perfect for the remainder of the season in order to have an opportunity. Because if we get 10 wins, the Jaguars could also have 10 wins, and the Bills could also have 10 wins, and we lost those tiebreakers. So, like, realistically, to feel comfortable, we have to almost win out the rest of the season to have an opportunity to make it into the playoffs. And that, to me, based on what we've seen so far, just does not say 54% feels very, very generous.
I have nothing to say.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. The elephant in the room is there's going to be, whenever you have a run like the Chiefs had, you're going to have a lot of bandwagon fans that join on and are like, I'm a Chiefs fan. I love the Chiefs. Look at them. They're so good. You have to be a seasoned Chiefs fan to really appreciate what is happening to this team, because I've lived through worse.
Wow, way worse.
Way worse. I've watched the Matt Castle-led Chiefs win like 3 games and just be absolute shit. And
we used to beg for a 54% chance to be in the playoffs.
Dude, yes, I would die for that.
So some of this is that, but also understanding what you have at quarterback. Like, you have an already first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. You have a first ballot Hall of Fame tight end. There is no doubt in my mind that they're going to be celebrated, and they'll continue to be celebrated long after their time is over with the Chiefs. The fact of the matter is, this is kind of what's been on the plate for the Chiefs for a few years now. You've had negligence at some positions where you have negligence at some point where it's like, you could have signed Breece Hall. You could have made adjustments to the O-line. You could have acknowledged what is wrong with the team and done better. Now, am I going to apologize for witnessing back-to-back Super Bowls, winning 9 division titles in a row, watching this team win 3 Super Bowls, be just dominant and just absolutely deep dick this whole division for goddamn near my daughter's entire life has been the Chiefs just absolutely just murdering this division. So the part of me is like, I never thought I would see that anyways. So I'm going to relish in the fact that, like, it's kind of one of those things like smile because it happened. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. It's like, just smile because it happened.
A Target sign that hangs in your kitchen.
Yeah, just smile because it happened. I think at the end of the day, this was an actually ugly game. I was actually, one of the guys I work with is a Broncos season ticket holder and was at the game. And he called me this morning, not to talk about this, but we ended up talking about this.
Inevitably, talk about this.
We talked about this because he was at the game. He sent me a picture of a passed out Chiefs fan in like the second quarter, which I blamed on the time zone difference. She was probably just really thrown off by the one time zone.
Yeah, it was the altitude.
She had to climb the stairs.
I guess people are gonna be talking crazy on the talking head shows on Twitter. It's whatever. This was bound to happen. They are an aging team. They need a complete reset. I think everybody's been calling for it for years. They happened to win like a Super Bowl while everybody was calling for it, and they happened to get to another one while everybody was calling for it. And so it's whatever. These things happen. I know you put in the notes like, will this hurt Mahomes' legacy? Like, no, Brady missed the playoffs. It's fine. Brady missed the playoffs the year before he won the Super Bowl with the Bucs, and he had a prime Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin. So I guess if we're going to put anybody on the firing squad, I guess everybody
Here's
should be
a fun Tom Brady stat while you mention him. Tom Brady never started a single game where he was mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. He never took a single snap from in a game where he was mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So,
and I don't think Mahomes will either.
A listener just sent that to me, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so and I don't think Mahomes will either.
I don't either.
They still have a 55. I mean, they get the thing is the Chiefs' schedule this year has been unreal, and they get the
gentleman.
They get the Colts next, and then they get the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. So it's like it doesn't end. It's just they got to figure something out, because I honestly I'm going to put this one to coaching malpractice. There's no they did some things in this game that were just like totally dumb. It's 3rd and 1 and they're trying to like yeet it 50 yards. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Just get the yard. Kareem Hunt is literally getting 4 to 5 yards a carry at will.
Well, the problem with
give
Kareem
them
Hunt,
the yard. They just
I don't know if you noticed this, but by the end of the first fucking quarter, Kareem Hunt is hunched over like he hasn't run a day in his life. And
Altitude.
Honestly, the altitude thing is kind of a
Altitude.
meme. But
it's real. It's a real thing.
Well,
It's
I
a
understand,
real legitimate thing.
altitude exists and it does impact your breathing, but it's kind of a meme like nowadays. Like people are like, oh, you go to Denver, it's altitude. I 100% think that had a big impact because every player on the defense looked gassed by the second quarter.
No,
like, what the hell are we doing? And again, it goes back to Alan's point. It's coaching malpractice. How are you not in the best shape of your fucking life before the biggest game of this season? And this is the most important regular season game that we've had in 10 years. Like, make no mistake about it.
I have a suggestion. Andy Reid needs to gut half the locker room, put an altitude chamber in there, and then they all just need to work out in there all the time.
I think Nagy's got to go.
What seriously needs to happen is Matt Nagy needs to be fired.
The fact
there's no creativity in it anymore. It's very simple, predictable.
It is vanilla as hell.
It is,
and it's because Matt Nagy is terrible.
It's a quick out to Worthy, or it's a deep ball to Worthy or Thornton.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
Rice.
Yeah, Rice doesn't even go deep anymore.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's
just
just that, they're putting Rice at the running back, and I'm like, okay, that's neat against the Raiders, but like against a team that is going to probably give you fits, you can't do that shit. And they just
no.
I don't know where it lies ultimately for the Chiefs. I think they get too cute. I think Andy Reid gets way too cute. I think he lets Nagy get way too cute instead of just doing things that are equal winning football. And now that's what they have to face with. But we've been calling for it. They just kind of got away with it. It's one of those things where it's like you got away with it.
You think if you don't make the playoffs this year, they move on from Nagy? Because the problem is here's the problem.
They're going to have some.
This might actually be good for you. Like, and I just
I'm all for it.
I'd
rather miss the playoffs that way I can enjoy a few months without any stress.
Fuck you.
That's crazy. Alan, when it gets to playoff time, is the craziest Chiefs fan ever. He's always just betting against his own team and hoping they don't make the playoffs. It's crazy.
I lose so much money in the playoffs.
I followed you one year and I regret it. My wallet hurt. So this is a potential that I think actually would be good for you. When you go to the dance, when you get all the way to the Super Bowl or even deep into the playoffs, like people are going to start asking, why would you fire your offensive coordinator, your defensive coordinator? Like, why are you making personnel moves like that? Unless they go get hired somewhere else, but why are you firing them? Because the Chiefs over the last few years with Matt Nagy have been just still very successful. We all know who Matt Nagy is. We know these problems that we're talking about, but when you get there, commonplace NFL fans are not going to sit here and be like, why would you fire Matt Nagy? We just went to the Super Bowl. So in the event that you guys don't even go to the playoffs, I think it actually, it would suck. I get it because you guys obviously want to win, and I understand that. But being able to get rid of him and find some competence might actually be better for you in the long run. And I know that's, I'm trying to sell you a bottle of optimism.
I'm all sold. Trust me.
Looking for anything, I think that could be a potential. Now, I will also say this. I did say that I placed a future on the Rams to win the Super Bowl. I also placed one on the Chiefs because
that'd be crazy.
It's good value right now.
It is. And like, if last year they were winning games that they shouldn't have been, but we were still kind of sitting here talking about these similar problems as Spags is carrying us and our offense hasn't been clicking. And like, if you rewind the tape to last year, we were saying the same thing. And you guys got to the end, and I didn't think you would because I thought you would have a mess up, and you didn't. And you messed up at the end.
There's a big difference between that last year and this year, and that last year we made the playoffs.
Yeah, because you were winning games you shouldn't have.
That last year we were 11-0 in one-score games, and this year we're 0-5 in one-score games. Like that's a massive difference, and that demonstrates that the team itself is just not performing at the same level. And I think the offense is having similar problems, but the defense also is just less consistent. It's still very good, still a top-tier defense in the NFL, but it's less consistent. So it's just we're not as good of a team as we were last season, and something significant has to change. Like it has to change. And yes, this guy knows. As a Bears podcast, we know about Matt Nagy. He's 100% right. And we
just have to root for Matt Nagy teams even though we hate him? Because that's what we're doing with the Bears this year. We're Bears podcast. You guys are Chiefs fans.
It's like some weird purgatory we're in.
Yeah. You like have to follow him. If he comes to the Cardinals, I'm going to wear all of my Cardinals gear and light myself on fire.
Does he have like Trump BJ picks like Putin does? Like, does Nagy just have BJ picks of somebody like that we don't know?
Chris Jones.
But I would like to talk about the Broncos for a second because I figured out how they win games.
Also, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The gentleman who he posted as a Bears podcast, about Matt Nagy. This was the guy that you banned, Scotty.
Oh, good.
A couple episodes
Well, then,
ago.
hold on. Let me take his comment off the fucking screen. No, I would like to talk about the Broncos, and I know it's customary in good sportsmanship to say, "Oh, congratulations, good job." The Broncos have a very good defense. Their offense is terrible, and there is no reason that they should have moved the ball as well as they did on the Chiefs. But I figured out sort of the game plan, and it makes sense now. We all kind of knew this, but now it's definitive. The Broncos win games by showing up. Bo Nix fucking sucks ass. The offense sucks ass. They don't do anything. And then the defense comes on and saves their ass. And then the offense comes back on and they suck ass and they don't do anything. And then the defense comes on and saves their ass. But eventually you do that enough times and your opponent just completely loses the will to live because they're like, Bo Nix sucks ass and we're still going to lose this game. And then all of a sudden, once the defense completely gives up, then Bo Nix is able to move the ball and drive down the field in the fourth quarter. That's why they have a 60-point differential in the fourth quarter, because Bo Nix does nothing until the fourth quarter of games.
That has been the mantra the last few weeks of Bo Nix.
Yeah, so this is a team that I think is. I mean, you could probably have said this about the Chiefs last year, but given what we've seen on the field, they should not be winning this many games.
There's these teams every year. The NFL is. This is the thing people fail to realize. The NFL is so razor thin, anyways. It came down to a field goal here, a missed thing. It's every game. Every game is that way, especially with good teams or decent teams.
Well, but I think that's why players like the really good players who actually aren't saying it for PR, but actually really truly believe it, is like every game matters. And like when they're like, I think they come to that realization where it's like, it doesn't matter how you win the game, it's winning the game. Because those little things add up and can be the reason that you don't get to the dance.
That's true, but from our perspective as fans, that's why the eye test is so important. Like we kind of joke about the eye test and about vibes and all that stuff, but it's like you can win or lose any game. But what matters is the product you're putting on the field. And when you watch the Broncos play, yes, defense, elite, 100%.
No, I said this last week. Like the Broncos offense is a problem.
It's not only a problem, it looks like it should prevent them from winning these games, but it doesn't. The defense is just that good. And
it'll
that
catch
combined
up
with
to
the
them
fact
at
that
the
the
worst
AFC
time.
is
and that's my thought too.
It'll catch up to them when they don't get it next week.
That's
genuinely what's going to happen.
I think that's, and even if it wasn't next week, like this is why we're sitting here and we're not saying the Broncos are going to go to the Super Bowl, because they're not going to go to the Super Bowl. Great defense, best defense one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're killing it. However, that eye test that you were talking about is very real, because now you can't sit here and say, like, I can't watch this and say I believe in this offense. Like they're going all the way. They can do it, because I don't think it can. And it'll catch up to them. It doesn't even matter if it's in the Super Bowl. It will catch up to them, because the best team is going to come out there and really shut them down offensively all game long and not give Bo those fourth quarter comebacks that he's been getting lucky with the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think so. I also think this. I want to make one quick note of this game. It was abysmal to watch. There was 20 penalties total in this game, 10 for each team, and it was just every play I felt like was like, oh, this guy did something kind of wrong. Oh, this guy was a little left when he should have been right. And I'm like, what the fuck am I even watching? There was like no game flow. There was no game flow. Like neither team could get into any kind of rhythm whatsoever because there was so many penalties. It was like, I would be so frustrated if I was either a quarterback for either team, because it was like, there's like nothing happening. Anytime anybody would attempt to do anything on offense or defense, it was like, oh, penalty. I was like, oh, of course. Well, what else did we do?
Why you hear, I mean, we hear this all the time as Chiefs fans, but I know a lot of Broncos fans, obviously living in the Midwest, and the Broncos fans are like, oh, all the Chiefs are just begging for flags. They're begging for penalties all the time. I'm like, did you watch the game? Nobody was begging for anything. Everyone wanted the penalties to stop on both sides. Like everyone was being nitpicked left and right on both sides of the ball, on both teams. And
we
it was
need that
just
for the Eagles
annoying.
with the tush push. That's what we need.
I also, I mean, we can talk about the tush push and we'll talk about that game, but I think they're on NFL's trying to sabotage themselves with incompetent refs so that they can get it banned in the offseason. I think they're
the tush push.
Yeah.
That's a conspiracy I can get behind.
I would get behind that.
I think they're trying to make it
behind it.
easy for them to ban it. Like, oh God, look how impossible it is to officiate. Like, no, it's fucking not. You can officiate that. You can absolutely look at the line. And
That
be like,
is
that guy moved.
really interesting.
I
But
think the
honestly,
NFL is 100% letting the Eagles get away with murder on that tush push this year, so that they can be like, oh, see, it's impossible to officiate. Got to ban it, and they can do it with zero impunity because then
PR
everybody will be like, yeah,
backlash.
I agree.
It is kind
tough.
of funny too, because when we talked about this, I think
That's
Alan was gone that episode, and Slapdog's like, "Well, what's the difference between the tush push and like a regular QB sneak? It's still just everyone piling on top of each other." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's a good point." Nobody's
It's
ever
just
complained that
the
a regular
guards
QB sneak is hard.
for the Eagles, for any team, if you do it right, like the tush push, the way they do it, like guards leave early, and the Eagles do it every time, but they don't call it. And I 100% think it's a conspiracy to let the Eagles get away with it, so they can just rest
That's
on
fascinating.
This, like,
I hadn't even thought about that, but honestly, like I know that like we joke
That's
about
what they're doing. They're doing it on
and we
purpose.
laugh about it, and we like. But I think this one could actually legitimately it holds ground in my mind, because the blatant like terrible miscall with the Giants, where the Giants like
just
they
pathetic.
like I had no skin in that game. I like to see the Eagles lose, but I don't care. But to sit there and watch that, I'm like, what in the fuck like, this is not even fair. Like, the Giants, you didn't blow the whistle. The Giants stripped the ball, and you're going to call them down?
Yeah.
Where? Like, where in the rules? I'm a man sitting at home that doesn't have the rule book memorized. You people do this for a living, and you can't tell me that shouldn't have been, like, that was a bad call. So I think it holds ground.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going, and we can go ahead and jump.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Eagles
snoozer.
and the Lions. This game was terrible to watch. The Eagles did win it 16-9, and you know, I'm a pseudo Lions fan. I think we could probably all say that's a fair title. This game couldn't have been any more boring. Like I could not stand watching this game. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. It was just not. It wasn't it. It was not it. And I think, you know, my biggest takeaway from this game is seeing where the flaws are for the Lions, because I had the Lions winning this game, and like it was a snooze fest. But I think the Lions defense, I think, did a pretty dang good job. But where I see the issues at for the Lions are just not giving Jared Goff enough time. Like, you know, we saw this back in week 1 with the Packers too. And I know this is like the most simple football 101 thing that like it makes sense for every single person, but if you can fluster Jared Goff, the Packers did it on week 1, as I mentioned. I think you win the game, because like Goff will dice up a defense if he has the time. But when you create the right blitz packages and that offensive line is not blocking, he's off his rhythm. He can't go through his progressions very quickly, and it shows in games like this. So I think that's, if I was to look for a deficiency in the Lions this year, that's one that I've seen in a few games this season, and why the Lions have lost some games is solely because Jared Goff is just off time.
You forgot about one, which is, if you watch this game closely, I know, Alan, you said you were playing Warzone or whatever, so you might have missed it. But
I was playing Battlefield. Shout out
Battlefield. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to slander Battlefield. Like
no free ads.
I know. Oh, yeah, no free ads anyway. But Dan Campbell went for it on every single 4th down in this entire game until the fourth quarter, when they were down 2 scores, and then he just decided to punt. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, man. You got to zig when everybody else zags.
It just doesn't make any sense. And I really do think, like, he's been better. He's been a lot better at this, but this
he
game
did
was
take
just
over
egregious.
play calling. This is the
I
second
know,
week
and that's what I was
going
to say, is like, you give him play calling. Now it's like he's got decision fatigue. Like, he's got too many things to think about. He can't reason anymore. It's like a real problem, I think.
He's got nice glasses, though.
I do like the glasses.
The glasses bring down the caveman look and make him look distinguished.
Yeah, he looks good. Like, he's like a step away from being Santa, in my mind. Like,
just a ripped Jack.
He's like
Santa.
really close to being like I mean, Santa's got to get up and down the chimney and carry all those presents. That's how I imagine my Santa is. My Santa's not fat and slow. My Santa's.
Dude, I've never thought to imagine
Campbell.
Santa is not a big fat man. Like, I picture Andy Reid as my
ripped.
Santa, but maybe I just need to.
Yeah, no way Andy Reid is getting around Christmas night. You know, just,
well, he does have enough to be able to eat the cookies.
Waddling up a snowy rooftop. Although it does change my perspective about Santa breaking into your house in the middle of the night, because when he's fat, it's kind of scary. But when he's ripped, it's kind of like, all right.
Well, usually, would you rather have a big fat man in your house, like that you didn't know, or a ripped man? Because I think the ripped man would be more scary.
No.
If you see like man's got more
if you see a jolly, if you see like Hagrid in your house, well, Hagrid's a giant too, so I guess I don't know if that's
okay. That would be very scary.
Shut up.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, okay, hold on. If there's a fat guy heavy breathing in my house, I'm more concerned because the ripped guy might be sexy.
Well, he's not heavy breathing. He's like silent and he's just munching on the little snacks you left.
I think the ripped guy kind of gives me porn vibes where I'm like,
this is a good question.
It's like a pizza man comes to the door and he's smoking hot.
John Sachs 690 asked, "Is the ripped man still jolly?" Because I think that could change things.
I assume so. I assume he still has the Christmas spirit with him. He's just ripped.
Does he have a
I don't know.
off?
I can't
or is he still
picture a
wearing all the
jolly ripped
robes?
guy.
Okay, so I don't know where this is going, but I picture him with just the bottoms on with suspenders.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right.
Dude, you're
long,
trying to get
straggly
turned
beard.
on by your Santa Claus, it sounds like.
Shouldn't we all?
I hadn't thought about it.
Well, do they make gluten-free cookies?
Yeah, John Sachs 690 said also cookies probably aren't a part of his diet. I don't think it's the gluten. I think it's just
he only eats them one night a year. It's not like the rest
But he
of
eats
the year
billions of them.
He's got a strict regimen.
You try and eat a billion cookies and stay
I
ripped.
also probably think my Santa's bulimic because there's no way he's eating all of that in one night. Like he's probably going up to the roof and just like right down the gutter.
You gotta put the milk and cookies out, and then in the morning you gotta go out to the front yard and clean up the puke. It's all part of the routine.
The two-step process with the ripped Santa.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the game.
Back to football. All right.
Back to the game. I'm going to give my thoughts really quick.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I think the Eagles' defense is starting to come into form. This is back-to-back weeks now where they've basically held the opponent down to doing nothing. This offense, though, man, you assume they're going to figure it out. And I know A.J. Brown went live on Twitch and was being like, trade me. And then he clarified saying that he's like, yeah, I mean, we're Band-Aid fixing this and we're winning, so it's fine. But like at some point, we got to really figure out what we're doing with this offense. And I think for the Eagles, that's I guess if you're the truth serum Eagles fans, as I like to say, they're probably like, can we figure this out? How do we have?
It's sad that you have
AJ Brown.
Like most fans are just like, yeah, no, we suck, or like, we have problems.
Well, do you know what's causing the problem? Because I think we should probably say it because this is a team
it's Kevin Patullo.
Well, that too, but it's also Jalen Hurts. It's also Jalen. When you look at the roster,
you're talking about Super Bowl MVP.
Yes, I am. Oh my God. I mean, he's a great player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he is not someone who's going to consistently put together performances like you see from Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. He's not built like that. He's not that kind of player. And when you look at this offense, they've got the best offensive line in football. They've got the best running back in football. They got two electric wide receivers, and the offense looks like fucking shit. Who's left to point the finger at?
But here's my problem with that.
The play calling is bad.
That's my bigger problem, and the reason that I don't know if I can get behind the Jalen Hurts argument. I understand like your thought process towards it, but I don't know if I can get behind it because we've seen him do it in years past, so we know he's capable of it. And I've been saying this for weeks. Like from a roster construction standpoint, this team does not look a whole heck of a lot different than it has in those years where he was able to pass it very effectively. And so with that in mind, what's the differentiator? Sirianni's been there since the beginning, so it's not him. It's got to be his offensive play caller. Because even just last year when Kellen Moore was the offensive play caller, that's when Saquon Barkley had an electric freaking season. And here we are with the same roster and a different offensive coordinator, and it's looked like shit. And I think it's because Kevin Patullo, I really do believe he is a huge part of the problem for this team.
I do too. And I think the problem is also how they're using Jalen Hurts. I don't think it's Jalen Hurts because he's incapable of doing it. I think it's the situations they're putting him in. Like they're dropping him straight back and obvious. Like you can tell the defense is aware of what they're going to run just because they're back and then that's it. He's got to find somebody and it's normally underneath. And then they get like 2 or 3 yards and then they try to run it like you think they're going to run it. And then, they're going to try to get to the tush push. Like they are so predictable right now with their play calling. Defenses are queuing in on it. Like they need to get back to where Jalen Hurts is able to run and throw at the same time, where he can either take it and he can throw it deep if he's got separation from the wide receiver, or he can get those yards with his feet. Because that's where Jalen Hurts like really separates himself from most of the players. It's his ability to just run and pick up the yards. But you watch this game yesterday, and it's like they weren't like putting him in that position. Like he would get to that because the play would break down or the pocket would break down and he would just go. But like they need to do that more purposefully because that's where his like superpower, that's what separates him from most of the other quarterbacks is his ability to throw and pass. But like they just focus on passing. It's almost like they're trying to prove a point that like, wait, he's actually a really good passer too. It's like, okay, maybe he is, but
He looked way better passing last season than he has this season.
I mean, they're hearing the noise, though, because the big criticism for the Eagles is the same thing, exact same cut and paste thing that you heard about the Chiefs last year on their way to the Super Bowl, which is like the offense just looks like shit, whatever, and everyone's talking shit about the offense despite the fact that they're still winning games. And it seems like the Eagles are directly responding to that. Like, they just have these random games where, like, okay, we're going to throw the ball, 35 times, and we're going to force feed it to our wide receivers. And it's like they're listening to the criticism. But I agree with everything that you're saying about the offensive coordinator. But I also think we do have to realize we can say that Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, and we can say that he's capable of putting his big boy pants on when the time is right. He does it in the Super Bowl. Like, he shows up and he competes. Like, he's a good quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But he also has this history, a playing history of just long stretches where he's just kind of blah. And that goes back to college, where he got benched at Alabama and he ended up transferring. Like, this is a part of Jalen Hurts' career arc where he just goes long stretches just looking okay. And then he puts it on in the big moments, and that's great. But I just think there's a whole lot of people out there who want to put him in this top-tier caliber, of quarterback.
So you wouldn't?
And I don't think he's in
top 5?
I see him as Jordan Love, but Jordan Love with more playoff success. So, like, it's the same sort of player, though, where it's like he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Brett Favre. He's not Patrick Mahomes. But he's a good quarterback. And if you put pieces around him, again, this is a team with a spectacular defense, kind of on and off throughout his tenure there. You have the best offensive line in football, the best running back in football, elite wide receivers. Like, you would be frustrated, very frustrated, with a quarterback who does not find success there.
I guess if you put, I like the old switcheroo argument for this. Like, if you put Josh Allen on that team,
you're going to the Super Bowl. But
like,
Josh Allen
scoring
is
45 points a game, and that's where the difference is. Like, oh, is he top 5? And they like go to the accomplishment. It's like, wait, actually, just think about if you switched places with those quarterbacks.
Well, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Maybe.
I think he is. I think it's him.
He's had 2 good games this season.
No, I just think like him as a player. Like, I think him and Mahomes. Like, Mahomes is obviously in there too. Like, those are the two best.
I think Josh Allen. Yes, I think he has his moments. I think sometimes he just falls off the face of the earth, like the Dolphins game. You're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But every quarterback has that. So I get not to put that on. But I guess if you put any of the top 5 quarterbacks, if we curated a list of the top,
so you
5,
don't. And I want to interject here. You don't have Jalen Hurts in the top 5 for you.
No.
In your quarterback rankings. Okay.
No, not right now. I said this, and I've long said this, and it isn't a slight to Jalen Hurts. I think he is the best. I think he's a great quarterback for what the Eagles need. I think they're just not using him correctly. I would put Jalen Hurts on this offense over Baker Mayfield because I like Jalen Hurts, the runner, as more than I like Baker.
No,
like if I were to go design this offense,
that.
I would do so many rollouts with him out when putting somebody in the flat and have somebody going deep and letting him run. Like, how are you going to ever guard that? You're just not. But every time I watch the Eagles, it's like straight dropbacks in a pocket. That's not this offense. That's not what they need.
I mean, that was similar to the argument that I made with Tyler.
Yeah, it's bottling up Saquon. Like, Saquon has no running room because it's so predictable. Like, okay, we'll just put everybody at the line of scrimmage, and then we'll dare you to be a better thrower than you are. And it's not coming to fruition that he can because that's not what the offense he needs to flourish. I think they need the creativity in the play calling, and they need to use his legs as a threat, and it's just not a threat right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I agree with you. But for time's sake, we're going to keep moving, and we're going to do Monday Night Football preview. We have Raiders, Cowboys as the game this week. I don't have the lines pulled up. I thought
3.5. Cowboys are 3.5 point favorites.
Okay. Who we got
tonight? Is it at
It's
Dallas?
in Vegas.
Interesting.
It's in Vegas.
One positive thing about my team, like almost being out of the playoffs, is that I get to hate watch my division so much harder. Because like in years past, it's like
I don't think the Raiders are any sort of.
I agree. Yeah, don't get me wrong. But like normally we win the division by like week 6, and so it's like okay, I don't have to give a shit. But now it's like I hate everyone in my division. So I've never really rooted for the Cowboys. I want Dak Prescott to throw for 600 yards in this game. I want it to be just the most ridiculous blowout we've ever seen in the NFL.
Well, I'm the total opposite of you because I want to see like Genty run for like 800 yards. 7 touchdowns. That's what I want to see tonight.
Fantasy wise?
No, I just want to see it because I think it'd be hilarious.
It would be funny.
Yeah, it could be a shootout, honestly, despite the fact that the Raiders are terrible because the Cowboys defense is so bad.
I want the Raiders to win this game because I hate the Cowboys. Like if there's one, they're the team I hate the most in the NFL. So I want the Raiders to win, but realistically, I believe the Cowboys will do it.
Okay.
What did you say, Alan? You didn't. Who do you have winning it?
Oh, do I have one win?
Yeah,
I'll take the Cowboys.
Okay. All right. All right. We're gonna do our Pab Ass Bitch of the Week award. So every week we give out an award to our pussy ass bitch of the week. Alan, we'll start with you. Who'd you bring as your Pab Ass Bitch of the week?
My Pab Ass Bitch, Sam Darnold, 4 interceptions, terrible look. You were the reason you lost that game. Your defense kept you in it. You couldn't find a way to score some more points. If you look at the 4 interceptions, they weren't great. You're forcing it into tight windows. You were making very, very, very bad decisions. You're kind of lucky you only lost by the amount you did, but that is my Pab Ass Bitch of the week. Don't throw 4 picks in a game.
I like it.
It is tough. And imagine what the storyline could have been if he didn't throw those 4 picks. He had a decent game, and then they beat the Rams.
Even if you threw 2.
Just got out.
You're like, just bring your batting average up a little bit. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, we already kind of hashed that out to an extent, but I like it. I think that's very worthy of the Pab Ass Bitch move. It is a bitch move. It is a bitch ass move.
That's a bitch ass move.
Scotty, who is your Pab Ass Bitch of the week?
Oh, I specifically did not talk about this when we were talking about the Chiefs game to save it for this moment. Juwan Taylor, on paper, is the best lineman in the locker room at the Chiefs, which is depressing. Despite that fact, he should be released today. Like, the Chiefs should put out a release and say Juwan Taylor is not
How many
just
penalties
off the
did he
team.
have in this game?
He had 2 or 3, I think. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy, but the problem is that he's has 2 or 3 every week for the last 3 years. And so it's just a staple of the Chiefs offense that Juwan Taylor is going to get called. And it's not like, if it was just holding, like heat of the moment, shit happens. Okay. He gets called for this procedural stupid bullshit. He literally got called for illegal formation, lining up too far back. And then immediately the next play, they could have thrown a flag again. Like the very next play, he lined up too far back again. This guy is the dumbest human being.
I don't think it's coaching, Alan, because I would buy the coaching thing if multiple people were pretty consistently jumping off
I
sides.
agree. My coaching thing is, then why are you playing him if he's a liability?
100%.
I don't care.
Well, they're playing him because he's the best offensive lineman we have. He protects Patrick Mahomes.
Well, he's the third best, I would say, behind Humphrey and Smith. Trey Smith.
Okay, I could see that argument, but
here's what I'll say: I think he's honestly being targeted because it was so widely publicized that that's what he does. Like, I honestly think that now it's like, okay, I know this motherfucker does it, so I can call it every time. So I'm just gonna look at it. You're like, yep, sure as shit, there it is. I'm gonna throw the flag.
It's true. Like, and if you watch other teams, there are lots of other players who do the same thing and don't get called. That's not an excuse to continue to do it. It's not.
I agree.
You're getting flagged, 2 to 3 times a game for the same fucking bullshit. And it's gotten to the point now, especially when we're losing games and I'm already pissed off and it's a divisional game and I'm just angry. And then I see him get flagged and I'm like, they should have kicked him out then. They should have released him in the middle of the game because that shit is just so unacceptable. It just drives me fucking crazy. So without a doubt, he is a Pab ass bitch and he continues to be every single week.
He's got to be the most penalized player in the league, right?
Oh, by a large margin. It's not even close.
Yeah, over the last 5 years too, I think.
Yeah.
That's sad. And that's
and he's just still there.
Yeah, I have an on-running joke with my family who are Chiefs fans, and it's like we bet on how many penalties we think Juwan Taylor's
honestly just let him seppuku in the middle of the field one week, just give him a samurai sword and just be like, you can do this yourself.
Yeah. That would be
I think Elon Musk is looking for, experimental astronauts to send to Mars. I think Juwan Taylor would be a good candidate for that job.
Dude, I don't know if he's fitting in that suit.
That's what I'm saying. Test the limits. Elon Musk is good at that. That's why his rockets blow up.
I think he won't quite get into the shuttle. He'll just be slightly back from the doors.
He's trying to squeeze through the door. He'll be
physically
he'll just
be kind of far back. Go back. No, you got to get in. You got to get up. And he's like, oh fuck this whole thing.
My Pab Ass Bitch of the week goes to, as much as it pains me to say this, it's Brian Dable, who is not even coaching anymore. But that's part of why he's my Pab Ass Bitch of the week.
Picking him when he's down, huh?
Look, you guys know I like Brian Dable. I do. So I wasn't thrilled to put him as my Pab of the week, but I had to, because when you look at the fact that he had Jameis Winston as the quarterback 3 on that roster, and he had Winston over Russell Wilson, to me is absolutely mind-boggling.
Amen,
so
brother.
I don't understand. And as soon as he got fired, they immediately, Russell Wilson's fully healthy. And the interim head coach was like, no, we're going to start Jameis this week. That to me says that was a Brian Dable decision. Why he doesn't start Jameis Winston over Russell Wilson, I do not understand. And that is why he has earned my Pat Bass Pitch of the Week award.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
I like that one.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yes. All right. That's it, gentlemen. We finally got to the end of the show. It has been a rather long one this week, and we have been at this for we did. This is over 2 hours, which is crazy for us. So anybody who has made it through here, made it to the end, joined us halfway, was here for the whole ride, genuinely appreciate it. We got almost 2,000 freaking views over on X alone, so really appreciate it. If you guys would feel so generous to even go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button there, man. It really does mean the world. And have to also give a shout out to our sponsor, Burger King. Thank you so much for keeping the lights on. We genuinely appreciate that as well. Gentlemen, anything else before we get the hell out of here?
No.
Fuck you, John Taylor. That's all I got.
Fuck you, Brian Dable.
Fuck you, Jobu.
All right. Let's get out of here. Gentlemen, we
are
out.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out leatherbrains.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.